Hello and welcome back to our live coverage of the 2019 Rolex New York Yacht Club Invitational Cup. Once again, I'm Tucker Thompson along with Andy Green. And Andy, we are into day number 2 so far. 2 races complete. Yesterday's one race had Japan Sailing Federation out in the lead. And this morning, we just completed race 2.
Yeah, an excellent race where we saw all sorts of teams at the front of the leaderboard. Royal Sydney Yacht Squadron, Royal Cork Yacht Club. We had the Swedes up there, the Irish, the Royal Thames came back into it in the end. A great race up and down in Narragansett Bay. We're in between Prudence Island, Gould Island, and Connecticut Island, Jamestown, between Halfway Rock and Gould Island. It's an amazing inshore sailing. This is what they call their stadium sailing race course. Beautiful conditions. The tide now has changed from an ebb tide to inbound. The breeze has eased by about 2 or 3 knots. So now we've got between 11 and 13. News from the race committee is no longer jibs reefed. So we've got a full sail plan out there. All 20 IC-37s are on the race course, and we are within 3 minutes to go to the start, Tucker.
So let's go live. Pictures out on the water. All eyes are on San Diego Yacht Club. They finished second in the first race yesterday, and they came from behind to win this first race of the day, race number 2 of the regatta. 12 races scheduled. It's going to be a long week of racing. Andy, as you say, we are under 3 minutes to go to the start of race number 3. Looking at it from the pin end of the line here in the upper part of Narragansett Bay. Breeze expected to build as the tide shifts around and the flood comes into the bay. Clouds have cleared up a little bit. All in all, beautiful day for racing, Andy. Why are we stuck in here?
Right, lovely. So the sun's coming out, and now's the moment where I regret not putting down the finishing positions in my little column here, but San Diego Yacht Club were the winners.
It was a close fight to the finish, showing just how competitive this 20-boat IC-37 fleet is. Every inch counts as we prepare for the start of race 3 here. Minute 30 seconds to go. Most of the fleet on port, heading to the right-hand end of the line. Minute 20. Now recall from the start of race number 2 this morning, Terry McLaughlin and Royal Canadian Yacht Club won the pin end fantastically, except for one minor problem. They were over early, had to head back, but still came back to finish top 4. That was impressive. Meanwhile, New York Yacht Club, our local team, they were in the top 5 going into mark number 1 until they hit a lobster pot, had to stop and go backwards. So hopefully Andy Fisher and Ray Wolf will have that sorted for this start of the second race of the day, race 3 of the regatta here in Narragansett Bay. Under a minute to go, Andy.
Yeah, now the question is, win the pin or win the boat? Decide to start in the middle. And now, is that Yacht Club Argentina going again for the pin end here?
Most of the fleet crowded up towards the weather end of the line. Lots of gap, lots of gauge, lots of room with 30 seconds to go to the pin. Argentina lured most boat. A couple boats looked late in the middle of the line. Time to start pulling the trigger. You've got 2 big groups, one down here middle pin, one all the way up at the signal boat. 15 seconds to go. Big midline sag. Here comes Argentina. Bow down. Heading for the line. 10 seconds.
Yeah, here we go for the final approach. The midline looks pretty clear, and the leeward end very nice indeed there from the...
There's the gun. Yacht Club Argentina wins the pin. They were the leftmost boat in the first beat of today's first race. And just look at that big midline sag, Andy. That tells you the flood tide is coming in. The fleet hasn't quite picked up on it. Pin end is the way to go to our eye, at least from this angle on the drone shot, as we head upwind with Yacht Club Argentina just punched on the fleet from the pin.
Big pin bias here, Tucker, and that was a great start from the Argentinians. This is the second time they've won the pin there, and if I were them, I'd be trying to pinch up to squeeze the boat just to windward, which is...
Yacht Club Italiano, and also Royal Canadian Yacht Club is down there in the hunt.
Tack.
From the left-hand side. Yeah, time to tack.
Yeah, get to that Connecticut shore. That's where there'll be less tide on the shore. Get to the right.
Breeze looks like it might be picking up a little bit. You're looking at the right-hand most leeward boat there, number 11, Royal Canadian in bad air from Argentina.
On board. Thin lane right here. Fascinating. Let's listen in.
Is this Yacht Club Costa Smeralda from Italy, just to windward of Japan Sailing Federation.
Just to lure to them, the Royal Cork Yacht Club. We've got a slightly easier lane. We've got good sound here. Let's listen in.
Setting up to tack away.
Quick tack, and they could probably, because they got a duck here, and then stick it up again. Oh,
ouch. Just what you don't want after you've tacked onto port and you're down speed, to have someone face just in front into leeward of Yacht Club Costa Smeralda.
They're going to have to tack back, aren't they, here?
2 tacks are costly in this fleet.
Main sheet man lost too much main sheet there.
Other than that, so already second row for the Italians, and already looking over their windward quarter for room to tack again. Not what you want right off the start in a competitive fleet like this. And already you can see by the other boats that they are second row and taking some transients. Port starboard. And they're going to get faced again. How about another tack? Why not?
Right.
Getting good at it at this point.
My word.
All right, let's go back out and look at the rest of the fleet and get an overview. There we go. Great shot from the left-hand side. Yacht Club Argentina still leading the charge to the left after winning the pin. Royal Canadian Yacht Club in dirty air, but electing to stay on starboard, Andy. That tells you that it's got to be big favor to this left-hand side, because they've only just tacked away, Royal Canadian, to stay with Yacht Club Argentina, tacking just to windward of them now. And this is the left pack of 3. One boat on starboard is going to give Royal Canadian a bit of trouble. McLaughlin setting up to duck, but no, they'll get a little bit of a get-out-of-jail-free card there. As the 4th place boat tacks onto port. Andy, big lefty.
Yeah, it was all about winning that left-hand side on the start line. There was probably a 10-degree bias on that left-hand, on that pin end of the starting line, and Yacht Club Argentina did a really good job of winning it, owning it, and then owning the left-hand side. They're doing the right thing now by consolidating their gains, crossing over all of those boats into the middle of the race course, heading for less tide on the right-hand side on the Jamestown shore. It is still light, though. The tide just starting to come in. Arguably, there might be a little bit more tide right on the shore because it has turned first, but we'll see. We'll see how that goes. So I'd say middle right is where they want to end up, and that's where most of the boats are going for. The clue is left-hand shift here, all the boats on port.
Big left-hand shift. Yacht Club Argentina in the foreground of your screen there. Leftmost boat. To lure to them is New York Yacht Club, poked into the top 3 right now. Beautiful job for Andy Fisher and Ray Wolf. They were in the top 5 of the first beat this morning till they hit a lobster pot and slowed down. And also Southern Yacht Club has finally shown themselves. The current champion of this regatta, having won 2 years ago right here in Narragansett Bay in the Swan 42s, now shifted to the new IC 37 class, and perhaps that's a perfect time to bring in the president of the IC 37 class, a brand new class here for the New York Yacht Club and around the world. Former Commodore Phil Lotz will join us and give us his insights on not only what it's like to sail in this regatta, but what it's like to start a brand new fleet. Phil, great to have you with us. This is the 9th fleet that the New York Yacht Club, one design fleet the New York Yacht Club has supported?
The 9th fleet, right, over many years. They've come sort of in groups. There's been some hiatus between fleets over the last 100 years or so, but this has been 10 years since we started the 42, and used that for 10 years, and it was great. Great boat to use. It was a great one design boat, but we're now on to the next thing.
And tell us about the impetus behind shifting to this new boat, and what are the attributes of the IC-37? They look fun.
It's a fun boat. You know, the boats were privately owned, and we wanted this regatta to be fairly successful and to have a long life. And to do that, we decided that we had to own the boats. The yacht club had to own the boats, have direct access to the boats. So we thought about what kind of boat would make sense. We thought about a boat that was, in this case, as opposed to a multi-purpose, single-purpose race boat, something in the 35 to 40 feet range, and something that we could also, if we're going to own the boats, we would have to also figure out how to make them accessible to the members. So we have started a 20-boat charter program for the members here at New York Yacht Club. It's been great. Started it in June this year. 5 regatta series, 2 practice weekends, and we've had a great summer so far.
So this is a whole new concept. I mean, it's a sort of a concept. It's like shared ownership. It's a sort of modern way, the Uber of boats or something. You can call your yacht club manager and say, "I'd like to charter the boat for the year." You don't own it, and you have to deal with any of the detail. It just gets presented to you.
Yes, that's exactly the concept. And, you know, it's not completely new. There have been fleets around at various yacht clubs over the years where people would charter them or various owners got together and pooled their money. But this is probably the first time really a yacht club has gone out and bought so many boats of this size and then offer them in a formal charter program to their members.
Obviously a big success for the members of the New York Yacht Club. And the New York Yacht Club, as everybody knows, is very much a pioneer in the sport. So by definition, do you think we're going to see a lot of other yacht clubs following this type of program with yacht club-owned fleets for the members to use?
Well, it's possible. I mean, we as you know, we've owned a sonar fleet for years now, and we've been running our team races in them, and now we do our member-only fleet races in the sonars. So for us, it's a progressive thing. I mean, it would be a little hard for us to just jump into this without having the experience we've had over the years with other fleets.
Now, just talk to us, Phil, just about your team, the New York Yacht Club team. Boat number 12 right now, doing a nice job of getting back into it. You know some of the people on board and how they qualified. Talk to us about that.
Now, Andy and Ray are doing a great job. They sailed very well this summer. Everybody was on a very steep learning curve. They had a very consistent team. They came out, and obviously we know Andy's in a unique situation with his physical abilities. But I tell you, they sailed great. It's unbelievable, executing well around the course. They've got Brad on board as a tactician.
Brad Reed.
Brad Reed, and he knows this place as well as anyone. So, you know, a little bad luck in that first race there. Got to watch those lobster pods. But away from that, solid team.
Well, they are poked out right now. Top 3 on starboard as the fleet heads to the left. At some point, you're going to start seeing the boats tack onto port. Talk us through the choreography on boat number 12, New York Yacht Club's boat. As you mentioned, Andy Fisher, most people might not know, he's sailing with one arm. So because of that, he doesn't do the maneuvers Ray Wolf drives, right? So how do they do that choreography?
I have not witnessed it. I've sailed against him a lot, so I haven't been close to him when it all happens.
Here it comes.
Yeah, he's going to go probably right.
Ray is now at the helm. Andy scoots back. Ray was trimming the main, but they bring in their mast man to do the main and the tacks. Then he goes back forward. Andy will take over, and Ray shifts back to the main. It's a bit like a...
It's amazing what goes on in that boat. As you just witnessed, that tack was pretty good. I mean, they've got to settle down here, but straight heel stayed pretty consistent through the tack. They're looking good.
I'll tell you what, they're in a great spot, Andy.
Yeah, they got the bit between their teeth now for sure, and they've just got a nice little left-hand shift. They tacked onto port. I really liked what they did there. They were underneath everybody on starboard. Then the breeze headed them a bit. They tacked onto port, and now they look in a really good spot. It is on track, a battle between Southern Yacht Club,
all the way to the right.
Current holders of the trophy, the Royal Sydney Yacht Squadron, and then New York Yacht Club. New York Yacht Club in the middle. Yeah. There's other boats on the right-hand side. So we'll see how this all pans out. But at the moment, Southern Yacht Club mid right-hand side at the of the course.
New York in the fight for the front with second. See, Commodore Lotz, we bring you in at just the right time. New York Yacht Club fighting for first place. Their best race so far.
He's sprinkling that Commodore's magic dust over his team, and it is quite a significant team. Melissa Fisher, Andy Fisher's relative, Whit Rugg, Sean Burke, Charles Swanson, Michael Comar, Chafee Emery, who's been a long-standing supporter and committee member at the New York Yacht Club, and Brad Reed, the director at Sail Newport and a real important man in the world of Newport sailing.
Speaking of Newport, Phil, you're no stranger to doing well in these waters. You won the first Invitational Cup back in 2009. Looking at this split with Southern all the way to the right, New York all the way to the left, which boat do you put your money on here?
I got to go with the New York team here. I think that's, you get a little bit of a righty out of that right corner there. There's a flood tide. I assume it's hard to tell exactly where they are in relation to the island. Probably both still on the cone here.
Underneath Gould.
You got to be careful how far right you go. Brad will know. It's early in the current change, so here he comes back. So
Interesting, yeah. If you zoom out on the tracker, we're actually in the cone of Gould Island, and so a little less inbound tide. And at a point, you have to decide if you want to cross over the Connecticut Channel. Some of those boats on the right are heading in for the shore, but the tide's still light now. We're only in the first hour of tide, so mainly it's about wind shifts here and taking that puffy breeze. But in these conditions, slightly west of south puffy and quite shifty off the island.
Yeah, it can be. And if you got a little further right, you get lifted like that. But I like what they did here. They sort of felt pretty good. I'm sure they felt good about the boats to the right of them, and they've come back and touched base with the boats to the left.
It's been 10 years since the first one, 2009. Just talk to us about what has happened over those 10 years, the following, the interest from all of these yacht clubs around the world.
It's been great. The follow-through's been wonderful. You know, we were a little bit, in the last one, we were feeling a little uncomfortable because we didn't get as many 42s as we wanted. We had much more interest than we had boats. And I think that was a big impetus for us to go out and get these, have these 20 boats built and have the club own them and be in control of them, so we have the control of the destiny of the event itself.
And we're going to go back to sailing, but in a moment I'm going to ask you about the future and what we can look forward to. Tucker.
So here we are. Bottom of your screen from the left is New York Yacht Club. 2 boats on starboard, looking to give them a bit of trouble. It's Royal Sydney and Southern Yacht Club. What will New York do? A leap-out tack or a duck from first to third? It's going to be a duck.
Yeah, they've just been hung out on that left-hand side a little bit. Always the danger with this many boats is being able to get across boats and manage to get to a starboard advantage position. And now New York Yacht Club having to duck a couple, and the risk here is that somebody tacks on top of you that you have to duck. At the moment, seems clear and free. Just to leeward of New York Yacht Club is Royal Thames Yacht Club in boat bow 15. So they're 2-time winners of this event. There's going to be a battle royale right there at the moment. 14 is Yacht Club Italiano. Just to windward of them is Southern Yacht Club, the defending champions here, who won very nicely 2 years ago at this event. And then just to windward of them, that is the leader, Royal Sydney Yacht Squadron, who
far left of your screen.
Yeah, who flattered in the second race, the first race this morning, but then it all unravelled a little bit. Let's see if they can hold it together for this race number 3, second race today.
Breeze seems to have ticked right a little bit.
Great sailing conditions.
There's New York just ducking the now current race leader and leg number 1, Royal Sydney.
Yeah, it's close. Anyone's game right here as they come in towards the top mark. 2/3 of the way up the beat. Now the teams and the tacticians start having a sniff around for how they're going to approach that windward mark. Don't end up on port. Itchenor Sailing Club in the last race were up in the good positions, and then as they got to the windward mark, they had to duck underneath 5, 6, 7 boats, and they lost a lot of their lead as they came in towards the top mark. So these are crucial moments here. And as you can see, nothing in it between Southern Yacht Club, Sydney Yacht Squadron, Yacht Club Argentina, New York Yacht Club, Royal Thames Yacht Club Italiano, San Diego Yacht Club in 7th, Japan Sailing Federation, and Royal Swedish Yacht Club. San Diego, Japan, and Royal Swedish seem to enjoy the company of each other, because they were all at the front in the last race, and now they're all right next to each other in this race too.
Oh, it's going to be all on at the top mark.
So, Phil, just talk to us about the future.
Well, at this point, the plan is to a couple of things. First of all, the class itself, we have aspirations beyond, obviously, Newport, New York Yacht Club, where we've got 11 private boats now. We've got a boat out in the West Coast. We have a boat in the Midwest. We've participated in some regattas out in the Midwest. We have a boat now currently entered in the Big Boat Series out in St. Francis. We just had a very successful Cows Week. They won their classic Cows Week.
Yeah, for Russell Peters and his crew from the Royal Yacht Squadron. Great to see the Royal Yacht Squadron getting behind all this. They're another very significant yacht club around the world and partners of yours in many, many things, including their good. They had loads of boats here for the 175th anniversary.
Yeah, that was a great turnout. But we're happy. We're very happy to have the handicap. You know, the big question was if how multi-purpose the boat would be. Now, it was originally, specifically designed for what we're seeing today. One design sailing with amateur crews in a simplified format with a limited sail plan. just to keep the expenses down, keep the barrier to entry down, and allow people to get up to speed quickly and be competitive. So, but we're very, very happy to see it do well in some of these handicap racing around the world.
So it's very much a class that you expect to grow internationally.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And just look at how close the racing is.
Yeah, we had some great racing this summer. Very close. A lot of different winners of every race. Only points between first and 10th. So it's been a lot of fun, and the boats have done well. We're very happy the way they came out of the box, quite literally, this spring, and were put together and put in the hands of our crews in early June for a couple of practice weekends.
Okay, into the top mark.
Big pile up, Andy.
Southern Yacht Club, Royal Sydney Yacht Squadron, Yacht Club Argentino, New York Yacht Club, and bout number 4, Royal New Zealand Yacht Squadron, all in the mix. Now we got 17, Yacht Club Costa Smeralda coming in on starboard, but a big left-hand shift as they come towards the top here. Everybody on port. And so the lineup on the starboard ley line isn't going to be as much. Oh, the main sheet trim on 14, Yacht Club Italiano, looks a little bit out of whack there. They haven't quite got enough runner on, not enough outhaul Cunningham, and it's just a bit deep, that mainsail. Maybe a bit much jib trim as well there, Phil.
Yeah, no, it looks that way. You need a lot more runner. The runner's a big tool in this boat.
Oh, they've got it. That's why they're actually going bow down to go below the pink limit mark. So they're just off the breeze a little bit. Now, if we pan left or go overhead, we can see the leaders at the front. Royal Sydney has to tack and face Southern Yacht Club. It'll be a port starboard. Royal Sydney on starboard. They're just to the left, out of screen. You can't quite see them.
Southern.
And Southern Yacht Club.
Yeah, Southern.
1 and 2, the fight for the front. Here we go, into the top mark. It's Southern Yacht Club. Andy Lovell, new helmsman for them, and this is the current reigning champion of the Invitational Cup. First place, just ahead of Royal Sydney Yacht Squadron. That team seems to sail very well upwind. Yacht Club Italiano, a couple lengths behind them after ducking the limit mark, but still in a comfortable third place. It is Southern Yacht Club's race so far. Into the offset. Phil, having sailed these boats, talk to us about crew work. Here comes the spinnaker hoist.
Yeah, no, right now you're getting that tack out, getting the pole out. You are going right in that hoist as fast as you can. The key here, guys, is to make sure you don't lose the foot of that sail down underneath the boat and shrimp the sail. That's the biggest, that's what that bow person has got to concentrate on. Perfect.
And Corinthian. Corinthian means you have to figure it all out for yourself. You get people with real jobs who've got who are more used to pushing pencils than they are pulling up spinnakers. There'll be a few blisters tonight.
Yeah, no, I think these are well-practiced teams, so they're going to come around here and do pretty well. And it's amateur, but with some practice and some time on the water, these guys look pretty good.
And the first year you won. The rules were slightly different. You were allowed one pro, and you had a guy called Kenny Reed on board with you when you won. What made you change from that to no pros at all?
I think we just decided that we just would rather just have a full amateur boat. There was the 42 class rule was to have one pro on board, and we thought about it, and for the future of this event, we just thought pure amateur would be a better sort of byline.
Excellent. Okay, Tucker, here we go. Bow number 12 right there. That is the New York Yacht Club that we've been talking about, just ahead of Royal Cork.
Yep, New York was in the hunt for the top 3 on that beat until the last third. They dropped back to still a respectable 7th. Anything can happen, as we've seen in this tight racing. But the leader right now is Southern Yacht Club, rolling into a jibe onto port. There they go.
Yeah, going into more slightly more inbound tide there, so everyone's happier to go into the middle of the race course, get away from the land a bit, but nice breeze, bit of puff. Here we're up to about 12 to 14 now on this downwind. Australia versus USA coming downwind. Great pictures right there.
Royal Sydney to the left, Southern Yacht Club trying to keep their air clear down to leeward there. Andy Lovell at the helm, his brother John, 4-time Olympian and former Olympic medalist, calling the tactics. Again, as we've said, they are the reigning champion. This is their best performance so far, fighting for the top 2. Yacht Club Argentino all the way out to the right. They're currently sitting in, Yacht Club Italiano rather, sitting in 3rd. Where is New York? A couple boats back. There they are. Ask and you shall receive. I
Yeah,
like
there,
that.
there you go. Right in front of them. Look at that. That's the old testing station for underwater. What are they called?
Ballistics.
Torpedoes. That's right. I was trying to say tornadoes. Torpedoes. There you go. That's where they had them, and they're trying to clean up all that island over the next few years. Now, Phil, the nationals for the IC, you got enough boats now for a national championships.
Well, yeah, the Nationals are at the last week of September here in Newport, New York Yacht Club. We'll probably have 20 plus boats. I think 22, 23 boats is what we're looking at. Then we have a winter series. We have 3 regattas hosted by Lauderdale Yacht Club, late November, late January, and March.
Excellent. Like a nice 4 events in Florida for the winter. Who can say no to that? And we've got a question in from social media on Facebook. And the boats, when you built them, you have 2 different builders. This is a rather technical question coming up. Talk to us about the 2 different builders, because you had a lot of demand.
Right, yeah, we did. We started with Westerly out in California as the first builder, and we looked around and we're getting a lot of interest on private boats, and we wanted to ensure that we had our 20 boats ready for this season with plenty of time and a little capacity for all the interest in private ownership. So we went to a second builder out in the UK, Fiber Mechanics, and we were very diligent making sure that the boats would be exact as possible. So we have cooperation agreements between the 2 builders. We've had people on both sites. We've been sharing technology, sharing build techniques. So we're quite confident both these boats are going to be very similar, very hard to tell apart. The fleet here in New York Yacht Club, we have 10 of each, and we sail them all summer, and statistically, you couldn't tell the difference.
Yeah, well, you've preempted my question from Stephen Ernst. Which are faster, the Westerly boats or the Fiber Mechanics boats? But you presumably, you keep all the data, you'll figure it out.
We do have all the data, and we've looked at it from this summer, and as we were hoping and expecting, there is no statistical difference.
Okay.
And we've had a lot of races.
Terrific.
Okay. Yeah, it's just it's down to the monkeys driving the boats and crewing.
It's amazing. It really makes a difference. And we've had, people who have chartered the boats have chartered in teams. So one team would take the boat for a couple of regattas, and another, team would split it and have for the other regatta. And you could see the difference in performance based on, how much practice time people had and what their crew looked like.
Back into the race course, there is a big split. Royal Sydney left of screen all the way to the, on starboard tack, all the way to the right is Southern Yacht Club, who has just jibed. And that's going to be a bit risky for one of these 2 teams. They were pretty much neck and neck with Royal Sydney about a length and a half ahead. They look like they're in a nice lefty breeze right now. There's a good shot of both of the front runners, first and second. Royal Sydney in the foreground of the screen, just to the upper right. Southern Yacht Club in the middle there behind them, Yacht Club Italiano. And that's your top 3 on this first run. Halfway down the run to the leeward mark. At some stage, this boat, Royal Sydney, will have to set up for a jibe onto port. I like their positioning right now. They look to be pulling forward on the fleet, at least in this perspective.
Yep, a few fans of Royal Sydney Yacht Squadron. I guess they're up late. We've got a lot of fans for Southern Yacht Club, the defending champions, Jackson Benvenuti from down in those southern states. Come on, Southern Yacht Club. And remember, if you're watching on the Facebook live feed, you can hashtag NYYCIC, but also you can just stick your questions in on the comments section. We'll try to answer them. Tell us where you're watching from, and maybe even post a photo of your setup, how you're enjoying this 2019 Rolex New York Yacht Club Invitational. Leaders at the moment on the tracktrack.com tracker, Royal Sydney Yacht Squadron, Southern Yacht Club, have just eked out a lead, those 2. It's a bit of a battle between the 2 of them. Then it's Yacht Club Italiano, Yen Yacht Club Argentino. So a nice bit of a Latin feel about 3rd and 4th. Then the Royal Thames Yacht Club, San Diego, New York Yacht Club, Japan Sailing Federation, and Royal Cork. There's the New York Yacht Club right there and their crew.
13.8 knots, New York Yacht Club, fastest boat on the course right now.
Looking pretty good there.
Yeah, very good.
It's taking a bit of a flyer out there, but it doesn't look too bad. They got plenty of breeze. Look at the difference in boat speed, Phil. You can get. I mean, that's part of the design of the boats.
Yeah, absolutely. We wanted the boats to be performed not only upwind and downwind. So it's not a sport boat. We don't consider it a sport boat. We wanted it to go upwind like a 52. Has proportionally, from a technical point of view, it's probably akin to a 52. And we wanted it stable and fast downwind and a pleasure to sail upwind.
Yeah, so you can handle it with a crew of 7, 8, or 9 Corinthian sailors, but you still get performance. You still get big differences in the performance if you sail the boat right.
If you sail the boat right, especially in a day like today, flat water, I'm sure it's puffy across the course. You know, if you do the right things and you get your kinetics right and you get your body, your crew work together, you know, it's a lot of movement on a boat like this, fore and aft, back and forth, keeping the angle right, keeping the trim fore and aft right, and of course keeping that main and that chute trimmed together properly.
Very good.
Great shot of the race leader, Royal Sydney Yacht Squadron. The most amount of breeze on the course right now on starboard, heading right at our camera boat. Out in the lead, New York Yacht Club outside the frame, all the way to the left. Southern Yacht Club to the right of this Australian team. And it looks like we're setting up for a jibe for the leaders.
Yep, here we go. Let's watch it through the jibe. So just talk to us about this, what they call a late main jibe, Phil.
Well, a little bit of a late main jibe here. You got a guy, so you can't get that chute around fast enough. You get the chute full, the main comes around. The important thing right here is what we call the squish, right? Getting the crew on the weather side as fast as possible.
Nice
Get that
job.
little push out of it and get the boat on the exit angle there looked really good. Sail came across, pretty good speed. Main looked great. Nice job.
Back up to full speed. Southern Yacht Club there in the background, left-hand side. Will duck on starboard. Still Royal Sydney's race to lose, and they've gained.
Yeah, they've done nicely there, haven't they?
Now, are they on ley line for the leeward mark? Leeward mark in about 10 boat lengths.
Yeah,
It'll
very
be Royal Sydney's choice, left or right, heading back upwind. Which way would you go?
I think I'd probably take, well, in this, there's been a slight left-hand shift, so that might be left gate, and then you'd start to sail towards the cone of Gould Island, and then maybe transfer to the right. The tide is starting to build now. We've got an hour into the flood tide, so it's going from left to right of screen, going in. They're going with the tide downwind against the tide upwind.
There's a look at the 2 gate marks, right of screen. Leaders can choose which way they want to go, left or right.
So I had a question, my social media question is the design of the keel, Mark Mills designed boats, the design of the keel, some of the sailors were saying to us, it's very hard to pinch or keep a lane upwind because the keel is thin, and so you have to get best boat speed, you really need to have the bow down going fast. It's not a good place to be in a thin lane.
It's when you're by yourself, if you definitely feel as if you get the boat powered up and get the bow down and you get your VMG through your boat speed. So yeah, it's going to feel that way.
Yep.
But when you're in this close hand-to-hand combat, especially off the starting line or on ley lines, you need to find that hold the lane mode. And it's there. It takes practice because the boat inherently wants to go bow down and get the boat speed up, and then you pick up all your great stuff. But you need to find the mode to hold your lane.
Speaking of holding their lane, I don't know if you were watching really close there, but Southern Yacht Club was set up for a left-hand turn, left gate. At the last second, they did a jibe and chose to follow Royal Sydney Yacht Squadron, and they had a bit of trouble getting the main in around the mark, so now they're a little bit low and behind the leader. They spent a lot of distance in order to go to that side, so clearly they must see something to the left.
Yeah, look at this. There's a lot to be gained and lost. I mean, the boat handling, crucial. It's tough. They're not easy boats to sail.
Well, it's there's a lot going on there, and people are pushing it right to the end. There's a string takedown. You need to, it's manual, so you need some strength on that. You need a couple people making sure the chute stays, out of the water as it comes down. But once it's down, it's over. There's no repacking or anything like that. Everybody's on deck, and the chute's ready to go again. So from that point of view, it's simple and efficient, and takes a little bit of coordination, does everything.
Right, in life.
A lot of the teams seem to be doing a really good job with those string drops here at the leeward mark, particularly in a crowd, and the fleet is pretty much split even 50-50 to the left and the right as the last few boats pile into the leeward gate.
Well, we've got Keith Denenbaum. He says, we got a full house here watching from the Austin Yacht Club.
Nice. Hello, Keith.
There you go, a friend of yours, Tucker, I'm sure.
I was down there this winter. A couple hundred people came to the theater. All sailing fans, all watching right now. It's great to have you guys from Austin Yacht Club joining us.
Great to see you. Maria Perez from the Southern Yacht Club. She's put a photo of them all watching up on the TV. We've got Oscar Bickett. That's Bertie's son. He's the helmsman for the Royal Yacht Squadron. He says, go Royal Yacht Squadron. I'm glad to see that he's supporting his dad, not some other rando.
Now, Royal Sydney Yacht Squadron has tacked onto port. Southern Yacht Club hips up on their weather quarter. Leftmost boat tacks as well. Easily crossing Yacht Club Argentina in third place. All the way to the right-hand side, leading the fight to the right, is Yacht Club Costa Smeralda, I believe.
Austin Yacht Club. Were they second at the Resolute Cup? I think they just lost out. Were they? I'm trying to remember, but they were right up there in the Resolute Cup. Didn't qualify, but sailed extremely well. And I believe they sailed last year, 2 years ago, in the Invitational. I may be wrong about that. Maybe Resolute Cup. But anyway, we'll get you.
You were definitely in the Resolute Cup.
For Zach Fanberg. I'm watching in my car whilst eating Chipotle. Good lad. Is that I remember from 2 years ago. Maybe that's the teacher from down south. He was on his lunch break from all his kids in class. It was one of the funny stories from a couple of years ago.
If I remember specifically, the qualification series for this, the Resolute Cup, between San Diego and Austin, Austin was over the line early and had to go back.
Yeah, that's right, and that's how they lost
Last
out.
race.
And in the Resolute Cup, and obviously, while we've got you here, Phil, the Resolute Cup Crucial. You know, that's a series that's grown in stature and importance as a result of this Invitational.
Yeah, no, it's been a great event. It started out as as a feeder for this or a qualifier, and now it's really come onto its own. It's sort of a de facto yacht club championship here in the United States. Clubs from all over the United States, and we try to make sure we've got great representation from all corners of the states. And we have had, I think if you look at the list over the years, we've had so many yacht clubs come and sail here, and it's been a great event. Really enjoyed it.
Yeah, excellent. Well, Keith Denenbaum says, ouch, Tucker. I was hoping nobody would remember that one. Well done. Good
Pulled that one out of
memorizing.
my back pocket, didn't I?
Yeah, right. Very good.
Sorry, Austin.
Okay, well, and we've got...
Japan Sailing Federation impresses me. Their top finish in the first event was third. They've sailed in every single Invitational Cup. And, Phil, they have not been out of the top three in every race.
One year I was, they used my boat, and I was the boat rep during the regatta. And they're a very impressive group of sailors. It's great. They're very, very good, very quiet on the boat. Good sailors, and so it's not a total surprise to see them being consistent in this event.
And Japanese on board spoken?
Yes, a fair amount of Japanese. When they needed to talk to me, it was English, obviously.
Yeah, your Japanese not so good.
When they need to talk about you.
But they were very good. They were very good to sail with, and very confident.
Well, they are the right-hand-most boat all the way in the top of your screen, just to windward of them and slightly behind. Is who is that? Yacht Club Costa Smeralda. Royal Sydney and Southern still fighting out for the front from the left-hand side, bottom of your screen here on the graphics, halfway up the second beat.
That left-hand mark, looking upwind, had a big gain. Royal Sydney Yacht Squadron and Southern Yacht Club went for it, and that's why they've got a pretty handy lead, 100 metres or so, as the Australians ahead over the current defending champions of the Southern Yacht Club, and they've got an excellent fan base at the Southern Yacht Club. I think they have some sort of French. They don't say go, they say go, G-E-A-U-X. It's one of their funky things. Well, Peter Austin watching from the departure lounge of Dubai Airport. Good on you, man. Excellent. Great sailing. The leaderboard right now. Royal Sydney Yacht.
Late at night over there.
Late at night, yeah. But not a bad place to have a transfer. Plenty to do at Dubai
What else
Airport.
would you do if you're stuck in the Dubai airport?
Right, go.
Log on and listen to us. You must be bored.
A bit of duty free. Okay, New York Yacht Club there.
There we go. Where is New York, Andy? Sitting currently in,
Seventh, are they?
No, 12th according to Track. That could be Sometimes it's distorted, as you know, with the angles upwind. Let's just hope that that's the case for Andy and Ray on port, heading to the right, sort of in the middle of the fleet right now, middle of the course. About a third of the way to go on this second beat to the top mark. Royal Sydney Yacht Squadron leading Southern Yacht Club. San Diego and Japan Sailing Federation both fighting it out for third, and that's another team we've seen in the top three in every race. San Diego Yacht Club. They won the Resolute Cup. Tyler Sinks and crew, a young team. These guys, they could be the future, Phil. You got to watch out for those San Diego sailors.
Yeah, San Diego's tough. They're tough in all the team races they come and do. They're tough in Resolute, tough here. Yeah, they're a good group of competitors, and we always love having them here.
Well, we love it that this is a fleet racing, and this is what this regatta is all about. A lot of the history of the New York Yacht Club, and certainly recent history, is about a lot of team racing all across all of the ages. That's still as healthy as ever.
Yeah, no, it's still doing great. We have our Morgan Cup, which is our varsity event, open, and generally the younger and more proficient team racers, fresh out of school or young careers, and then we have the Hyman Masters, 45 years and older, and then the Grand Masters, 60 years and older. Those three events in August are still very popular, and it's grown. I mean, there's a intense schedule from January through November for team racing around the United States, inter-club team racing around the United States.
Excellent. We got a shout out from Blake Kimbrough, who's watching in Annapolis, about to take his phone down to Mike's Crab House.
Nice.
You probably know them. Blake, one of the previous winners of the Invitational with on your boat. There you go, with Phil. Very good. Okay, great pictures of Jamestown in the background, Connecticut Island. This is the northern end of Connecticut Island with a slowly building inbound tide. Royal Sydney Yacht Squadron leading over Southern Yacht Club. San Diego in there as well. Yacht Club Italiano doing nice work. Japan Sailing Federation, Yacht Club Costa Smeralda. But the two at the top here, Sydney Yacht Squadron and Southern Yacht Club, have stepped out quite a bit here, Tucker.
Well, Royal Sydney for sure. Impressive. They're leagues ahead of the whole fleet. But look how close it is between Southern, San Diego, Yacht Club Italiano, and Japan. It's sort of a four-way row there for second place rather. And there's a look at it on the water with Royal Sydney all the way out in front, punched on port to the left of screen, just over Southern.
Track have got Southern ahead by about 50 metres or stuff. The battle really for third between Italiano, Argentino and San Diego Yacht Club. So we're up here to this will be the final windward mark, and then a charge down towards the finish. 12 to 14 knots of breeze. It just feels a little less shifty in this race. Maybe the breeze has just gone a little bit further to the south, so it's got a clearer.
Yeah, it sort of feels like.
Yeah.
Bit more boat speed based, less boat handling on the beat. And Royal Sydney's got the wheels.
Yeah, very nice indeed.
This is the Southern Yacht Club we're used to seeing last time around. Finally poked out in the front. The first two have not been very good races for them, and there's no throwouts in this series, right?
No, there isn't. Consistency counts, and you have to stay in it. As they say, you can't lose it in the first couple. You can't win it in the first couple of days, but you can certainly lose it.
Right, and you've won this event before. Just tell us about the one that didn't go so well for you. Am I allowed to do that, Commodore?
The following year, I was tactician with Ken Colburn in the New York Yacht Club boat. We ended up second, and fighting with the Royal Canadian team and Terry, and it came down to sort of the last race. Had a few points on us, but it was a very light race, and we got a little bit of leverage on them, but they were scooted away and did a great job.
Yeah, well, bad luck, that disastrous second place.
Well, in the 5 runnings of this event, New York has finished first, second, and second. Pretty impressive. The hometown team, the host club, celebrating its 175th anniversary this past summer. What an amazing event that was.
Yeah, it's been a huge summer so far. Culminated in that big party we had on the Tuesday of the race week, and 1,600 people at the Yacht Club, black tie event. And it's like everybody you knew from sailing was there. You just turned around, you couldn't get through the crowd without saying hello to everybody. So it was great.
It was a spectacularly incredible event. All credit to the staff at the New York Yacht Club. I got stuck with a British guy at my table, curly hair, blonde, funny accent guy that with the last name Green.
Fortunately, we had our wives there to entertain us, Tucker. Okay, let's go on board here. Yacht Club Costa Smeralda, I think. That looks like Italian footwear.
The Nike shoes?
Maybe not. Let's get a confirm. Is that...
Maybe we can get our graphics up on the onboard to know who it is. Yep, you were right, Andy. Nike shoes, American shoes on the Italian team. Yacht Club Costa Smeralda.
Seriously, where are the Prada shoes there? Here we go, in
Setting
for
up.
attack. Let's listen in. We've got reasonable
Talk us through it, Phil.
Well, somebody, the key there, and even in 12 to 14, is getting that running back preloaded before the attack. So somebody should be making sure that's happening and then get somebody down. So that's the first person you saw. Two people leave. One was somebody to do the jib, and the other one was you have to have runner on.
Pretty good attack.
Pretty good tack, and kind of important to get that runner preset as much as you can before.
Happy with traveller height there, Phil?
12 to 14, yeah, probably.
Oh.
I mean, it's really...
These
it
boats
looks
like a
about
bit of
right.
heel, do they?
They do like a bit of heel. You're going to probably be about 16 to 18 degrees here, maybe 18. So you're trying to keep that balance, and obviously playing the main sheet a lot here. We can see it coming in and out, and the backstay a little bit.
Here we go. Look how close it is between New York Yacht Club to leeward and number 2 Royal Swedish Yacht Club just to windward. Andy doing a nice job just keeping his bow down in clear air. Off to the left-hand side, Brad Reed, former J24 world champion here in Newport, knows more about these waters than possibly most. They've just pinched off Royal Swedish Yacht Club.
Everyone wants to go right, though. Here goes the tack straight away. There's Ray Wolf doing the windward runner. That's his wife, Jen Wolf, right at the back. And
Yeah, it's amazing. So Andy sits over there and picks up the helm right from Ray. Pretty good tack.
Very good. Into the top mark. Royal Sydney Yacht Squadron still leading over Southern, followed by San Diego Yacht Club again in the hunt for the front. Tyler Sinks and crew trying to make their mark on this regatta from the West Coast. We haven't had a West Coast team win this regatta yet, right? Have we?
Not yet.
well, at the moment, they are absolutely bossing it. Second, first, and currently in third at the moment. That's bow 15, just
That was
coming
a
into
close
shot.
cross there.
Yeah, the Royal Thames Yacht Club just going underneath the New York Yacht Club boat. There's the Union Jack, a very unusual sight on the back of a boat, a Union Jack. Usually it's the red ensign or the red duster, as they call it. But the Union flag is officially known as. It's called the Jack from its naval history.
You don't know Jack.
Team leader at the back right there, Edward, and done a great job of leading the Royal Thames Yacht Club team. John Greenland, the helmsman, very accomplished team racer and alumni of Southampton University, I think. They do a great job. Royal Thames, a committed partner for the Invitational.
Yeah, there are a number.
Former winner.
Twice.
Winner.
11 and 13, weren't they?
Just once.
Just once?
Royal
Okay.
Canadian is the only team
Royal-
that's
Oh,
won
so,
twice. But
excuse me.
they are
Yeah.
the first non-North American team to have ever won.
Very good.
Correct.
You know what I like about Andy? He knows a lot about it a lot, but just when he trips up, we're here to catch him. Here comes the attack from your leader, Royal Sydney. Beautiful job. Unstoppable. Has it been wire to wire for Royal Sydney?
Pretty much, yeah. They Yacht Club Argentina won the start, actually, because they were pin-end boat, and it was about a 10-degree pin-end bias at the start. But apart from that, Royal Sydney Yacht Squadron done amazingly, and Mr. Nettis has been here a few times, won the Far 40 Worlds and the Mum 30 Worlds. You know him. To give us a little insight into his sailing.
No, good sailor. Been here before, obviously, sailed in these waters a number of times. It's a good group. I don't know them all that well, and of course this year it's a whole different crowd. Some people. What's different about this year is that obviously following one of the rules of the class, which is you need 2 female for every 8 sailors on board. So obviously more female here, more females in and around the teams. Pretty male-dominated event up till with the 42 weight to strength ratios and everything else. But it's been great to have this rule. It's been great to see so many mixed crews out there, people way beyond the minimums, and it's been, obviously the social activities of the class this summer have been that much more fun.
Into the top mark, Royal Sydney has tacked for the last time on starboard ley line. From the left-hand side is Southern Yacht Club. I don't think they've got a piece of Royal Sydney at all.
50-meter lead for
Very
the
solid.
Royal Sydney Yacht Squadron. Yeah, great sailing.
Does seem to be a little bit of a left-hand shift coming into the mark, but that's not going to hurt the Australian team at all. If they're on ley line, they're gone. But Andy Lovell's got the pedal down, looking to reel them in. Are they on ley line, Andy?
I think so, just about. The squadron, I think, are on ley line, yeah. But the Southern are doing a great job here of just reducing the deficit. They've just gone a nice left-hand shift, squeezing it all the way up. And here we go with the breeze as they tack onto the ley line.
You saw Southern Yacht Club just go through the wind shadow of Royal Sydney. The heel angle went upright for a second. They built speed again, tacked a length and a half later into second place, about 5.5 lengths behind Royal Sydney. Heading to the offset for the spinnaker hoist, the last one in this race. It'll be a W4 finish downwind. Royal Sydney's race to lose at this point with a solid lead.
Nice puff there, just as they come across on the offset. Very nice, very, very handy lead here. And this is quite different from what we saw in the first race when all the boats were within lengths of each other. Now, Royal Sydney Yacht Squadron and Southern Yacht Club have just eked out quite a handy gain here, over 120 metres over the third place boat, San Diego Yacht Club, who are now coming in on port. I think this is going to be safe, but...
Yacht Club Italiano on starboard. You don't want to push it with the Italian team. You never know how that might end up. They like to be very aggressive from what I've watched. So that was a port starboard. We think San Diego is okay, having tacked just to leeward of them to hold on to third place, but only just. Yacht Club Italiano right on their heels behind.
Some tight manoeuvring there, just getting into the starboard ley line. Who's that in there? I think that was the Royal Thames, was it? Just trying to squeak their way in. John Greenland, the helmsman, he knows what he's up to. Actually, you know what? I think that might have been the New York Yacht Club, was just squeezed in front of the Royal Thames. Let's hope they're safe because they were taking a bit of risk. But that is a big bump up for the Yacht Club, New York Yacht Club, because they were in 12th towards the bottom and now definitely firmly up towards the front. 6th, yeah.
Nobody's jibed yet. That last shift was a lefty, so boats are extending on starboard after the hoist. Here's New York Yacht Club, just behind Argentina, into the set.
Nice, here we go with the sets. And crucial to get the jib down as quickly as possible to get this shoot set, or not really?
Not really, not with this breeze. I see everybody's still got their jibs up.
Yeah.
You know, it's how you carve that turn at the top, make sure your exit angle's right, allow the chute to get up there and fill, and try to keep the boat moving. So it's an important, you don't get too deep, and of course, not so high that they end up wrapping the chute or something silly, or you go too early on the hoist.
And everyone's getting out of the top mark and continuing on starboard all the way down to that corner of Gould Island. Presumably that's because they want to get away from less breeze on the Jamestown shore. Maybe a little better tide there.
Yeah, and they're going to get over to the end of the island and jive, I guess. But yeah, it's probably that lefty more than anything else. Plus the whole fleet is there, so it's a little hard to jive across that fleet.
And on the last downwind leg, you don't want to do anything too radical on these downwinds, right, Phil? Stay with the train of boats that are with you.
Stay in phase, look up, make sure you're in the breeze, and just keep your air clear.
Yeah. Okay.
And especially with a flooding tide, you're going with it, and you can pretty much go where you want here. So you can look upwind and put yourself underneath the next puff.
Well, speaking of clear air, look at San Diego Yacht Club there, middle of screen. They've got a lot of wind shadows behind them, some on port, some on starboard. They're going to have to pick their lanes really well to get back up into the hunt for the front. They have been in the top of every single race, and downwind is their forte from what we have seen. So keep your eyes on that boat to the left of screen. Meanwhile, Southern Yacht Club chasing Royal Sydney Yacht Squadron for the lead. Downwind, the delta 110 meters to the Australian team out in front, and a big pileup at the top mark behind.
Pretty busy around the top, mid-fleet, very busy indeed. New York Yacht Club are now on the attack. They've got Yacht Club Italiano and Yacht Club Argentino ahead of them. They're trying to get a little Latin flair and downwind sailing here in towards the finish. This is the final leg of race number 3, second race today, day 2 of the 2019 Rolex New York Yacht Club Invitational. Great to have you all here. The sun is starting to shine, the breeze 12 to 14 knots, absolutely perfect sailing conditions here in Newport, Rhode Island. What a lovely day.
The type of conditions, Phil, that make you wish you were out there instead of sitting here with Andy and I.
It is tough watching, that's for sure.
All 3 of us, huh? What are we doing?
What we're doing here. Anyways, I'm looking forward to the next couple of weeks to the Nationals. It'll be a lot of fun. And all this does is get you more excited.
Well, congratulations to New York Yacht Club, now in their 9th One Design class, possibly the most exciting and most successful of all, the IC37. And it's great to have you with us, Phil, the president of the class, and good luck to you and everybody involved in the future.
I don't know, those New York 50s are pretty nice. I mean, that's quite a long time ago now, but still racing. Spartan, we were racing last weekend. What a beautiful boat. And 72 feet overall, called the New York 50. Long overhangs, all because New York taxed boats on waterline length back in the day. So a little bit of Yacht Club boat trivia.
You know, each class, each One Design class has had its own history and its time in life, and you know all have had their share of successes. So we're looking forward to this. We hope this one grows beyond our borders here as quickly. We've got good interest in the UK. The Canada's Cup's going to be run in these boats next September. They're looking to have 3 from each side, I think, so far, is what I'm hearing.
That's going to be cool.
So that's going to be good. And, you know, that came out of nowhere for us. They seem to like the concept, like the boat, and we're happy to help on that. Of course, we can't participate, but very happy to help do what we can, make sure the boats are available.
Yeah, great.
But what's great, I think, is we're now seeing some pretty good interest in the UK. We've got someone there who's going to become our representative on the board, vice president. They're setting up a schedule. They should be announcing that shortly. And there is a demo boat in the Solent that's being used right now, and hopefully we'll get some orders this winter and a fleet over there.
Yeah. I've got a mate who I was at school with actually, who's looking at chartering or even buying one of those, and there's a lot of interest in it. Very cost effective and a really good concept that the Yacht Club have come up with here, and we're seeing the result of it right here. And we got some photographers up in the sky. Helicopters are up. We got the drones just following here. The Royal Sydney Yacht Squadron, who have got a great lead in the battle behind, though.
Their teeth there, look at it.
The New York Yacht Club trying to get back into this. San Diego Yacht Club and Southern Yacht Club in a duel. They're the 2 boats directly behind, left of screen.
Royal Sydney just seems to have walked away from the fleet downwind. That is impressive. Look at their speed, 12.6 knots. The next closest boat is 10.3.
Got a great puff there.
And 3 sails downwind as well. Phil, where's the crossover between dropping the headsail and leaving it up?
It probably maybe 8 to 10 knots. I saw the jibs coming down earlier in the first race. A little surprised, but it was got pretty light. If you're pushing it down tactically, you probably drop it sooner and maybe raise it later, or get to the point where, you know, in that crossover breeze, you're dropping it for the jives and raising it again, depending on how much time between jives. I do want to say hats off to Commodore Culver and Commodore Zapatakis for getting the spinnakers with the flags.
Right.
Brilliant.
It
helps us out.
It looks great.
Well, it seems like such an obvious thing to do, but practically speaking, actually making it happen is a lot more challenging than it would seem.
Yeah, it's a challenge because you obviously you don't know exactly who's going to show up when you know what are the sales, and you got to make sure you got enough, and it's you know, it's an investment, as is all this stuff, but this one I think was worth what the effort they put into it here for sure.
Well, not only them, but also you and the team here at the New York Yacht Club put on a spectacular regatta. The class has proven it is everything and then some that you guys have expected, and it's great to watch. The only downside is not getting a chance to be out there on the boats. Love to sail one. Andy, have you been on one?
I have not been on one. I was supposed to go on Friday with Ray and the New York Yacht Club team, but sadly I had to go to England for the weekend and wasn't able to do it. But I'm looking forward to doing that this winter, getting on one of these boats in preparation so we can actually know even more.
2021. Let's write that into the contract. I think we need to go on board. It looks like fun.
Get you out there sooner than that, guys.
Hey,
Look behind Royal Sydney. There is a very close battle now between Southern Yacht Club from Louisiana, San Diego Yacht Club from, well, San Diego. Pretty close between those two. Southern's finally found their form that we expected of them in the last Invitational Cup, but San Diego, after winning the Resolute Cup, has proven that they want to make their mark on this regatta. Downwind is where they've got the most wheels, and Tyler Sinks has got the pedal down trying to catch Southern. Andy, that's Southern just ahead to the right of screen, but look at the speed that San Diego has.
yeah, and remember, if you're watching this on Facebook, like the Invitational page, and you will be informed of when we go live over the next 3 days: Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Last racing scheduled to start 11:05 each morning. That's Eastern time, and if you like it on the Facebook, it'll tell you when we're about to go live, so you don't have to worry about whether there's a delay or any of that stuff. We will notify you when we are on. Nice jibe there from the Australians.
Royal Sydney there. That's the first time we've seen the main come over before the spinnaker, and you can see the result there. Just a little bit of a blanket trying to fill it.
A little hesitation there.
Yeah, did I say nice jibe? What I meant was terrible jibe.
Well, it's easy to be a Monday morning quarterback up here in the booth when these guys are actually sailing incredibly well.
Mate, I was born for that job. All right, we got loads of people watching. Thanks. Hello to you all watching this live coverage here from Newport, Rhode Island, as the Australians lead in this new IC37 Melges. Brilliant, lovely, lovely sailing. Good. The sun's coming out, the breeze is up. We've got one more race today, and we're trying to do 2 or 3 races each day, Phil, for about, 12? 12 is the goal.
Total.
12, I think, is the goal. I think, with one yesterday, they'll try to make that up over time. 3 race days are not unusual for this event. It's about the racing, and we've got 2 great venues. We have the venue we're on here, which is our inside course, and given the forecast this morning, there was 20, 25 knots. I think it was probably prudent to come in here and get it done, and then hopefully maybe tomorrow, if there's a northeast, which I think I saw, sort of that 10 to 15 outside will be a lot of fun too.
Yeah, nice. It'll be flat off the land. And here we go down towards the finishing line for the first place in race number 3. Congratulations.
Royal Sydney Yacht Squadron, an impressive wire-to-wire win here in race number 3 of the 2019 Rolex New York Yacht Club Invitational Cup. It's going to be a bit of a break before second place.
Right.
That's the biggest lead we have seen in the regatta. Behind them, it is Southern Yacht Club, just leading San Diego Yacht Club. Towards the finish, 2 American teams fighting for second and third. Across the line. One more jibe to go, I think. Are they on ley line for the committee boat?
Not sure about that, but I think there's just enough distance. Yes, they are. They're all straight in here.
Nice job from San Diego Yacht Club. You can see how much faster they are just trying to reel in Southern, but they've run out of time. So Southern Yacht Club, Andy Lovell at the helm, racks up their best win of the regatta, or best race of the regatta thus far. In second place, San Diego Yacht Club, Tyler Sinks and crew, a very impressive third.
Well, San Diego Yacht Club are bossing this right now, day 1. 2-1-3. That is pretty impressive results. The only one close to them is Japan Sailing Federation, but they haven't had nearly such a good result here. This, now here in 4th, this is Yacht Club Argentina. Now, Argentino, they have had a checkered past, I think it's fair to say, in this regatta. That, a great result for them, Phil.
Absolutely.
Yeah, no, it's good. It's great. I think, again, these boats, I think people can bring experience from other boats. They've been into this, and probably maybe on average a little younger crowd, and teams are different. Yeah. And I would expect, as like we see in the rest of our other sailors, that there'll be a lot of different winners of each of the races over the course of the week.
Excellent. Well, we like the look of that. Scott Perry says productivity here in Western Connecticut is well down. Watching and enjoying.
Okay. Yacht Club Italiano just finished in 5th out of screen there. There's Royal Thames crossing the line, Andy.
On board with Yacht Club Costa Smeralda. Oh, a bit of a ragged jibe. Get that runner on. Runner on a little late. Presumably, Phil, the runner. Here we go. Yacht Club Costa Smeralda just behind Royal Canadian Yacht Club. Nice puff there as they head downwind. Presumably, the runners mainly for performance. You're unlikely to drop the rig down.
Yeah, not. After the job, you don't need all that much on, but you need to get some on.
Right.
It's not as critical, especially in this breeze.
Right.
But keep it firm, keep the head stay tight, keep the jib from getting too loose up there and too floppy.
New York Yacht Club took 7th place ahead of Royal Thames, Royal Swedish in 8th, and there's Japan Sailing Federation, the yellow Spinnaker, just rounding out 9th place over Itchner Sailing Club in 10th.
Yay. Okay, then after that, Yacht Club Costa Smeralda, Club Nautico de Barcelona. Oh, a big, busy. Look at that. Hong Kong, Ireland, and
My goodness.
Canada, Freshwater Bay, then Royal Yacht Squadron, and the Germans, and then the French right at the back.
And the spectacular race committee of the New York Yacht Club really putting a lot of effort in on that finish.
Race committee boat today, Phil?
I can't tell from
Okay,
here.
all right.
Sorry.
Well, I'm sure a generous member.
I don't know the boat today.
Phil made it all the way through the race before you threw him under the bus there, Andy.
Yeah, right.
I know. And right at the end when we close. But you know what? We've got to thank former Commodore Phil Lotz, not only for joining us today, but for running this class and for the vision that you and the New York Yacht Club have shown with the new IC37 and here in this 6th Invitational Cup. I'd say you guys have just raised the bar yet again.
Thank you very much, Andy. That's been great, and it's been fun to be here, and thanks for having me.
Great. May the best team win, huh?
Lots more racing to come, as you know, and as Andy mentioned earlier, that was only race 2. At least one more race to come here in Narragansett Bay. For Phil Lotz and Andy Green, I'm Tucker Thompson. Don't go anywhere, particularly if you're at work. Well, don't get much work done. Race number 3 starts very soon. The 2019 Rolex New York Yacht Club Invitational Cup is brought to you by Rolex. Sponsored by Helly Hansen and supported by North Sails and Team One Newport. This regatta is hosted by the New York Yacht Club, celebrating 175 years of yachting innovation and leadership. Welcome back once again to Newport, Rhode Island, where the 2019 Rolex New York Yacht Club Invitational Cup continues. Hi, once again, I'm Tucker Thompson along with Andy Green. And Andy, we have just completed 3 races on the water in the new IC37s for this 6th running of the Invitational Cup. 1 race in light air yesterday, 2 races this morning in the bay, in Narragansett Bay on the north end. The breeze is picking up, so is the action. Take us through the last race there at the finish.
Well, absolutely ideal conditions on the inshore course. And yesterday, very light outside, and tomorrow forecast for northerly breeze, 10 to 14 knots, probably be on the outside. So a very varied race course. The teams are going to get all sorts of action to test their skills to their best. But at the moment, it is San Diego who are doing the boss work, and that is Tyler Sinks, the helmsman. They won the Resolute Cup last year that we were here at.
The qualifier for this.
The qualifier for this event, and they are taking on where they left off for the Resolute Cup. Brilliant, brilliant racing. Let's go down to the water. We've got less than 3 minutes now to go to the start. All the boats just jockeying for position right in the centre. That is the pin end of the start line, and then just to the right of that, all the way the other side, is the committee boat. 1:57 to go.
So that was the 2-minute signal. This will be the start of the 4th race of the regatta. Big question, Andy. Do you think we'll see a 5th race, a 4th race this afternoon? Because we lost 2 races yesterday.
Do you know what? I was actually just thinking about that about 5 minutes ago.
Fascinating.
Because I was wondering if I've got time to pick the kids up this afternoon.
Possibly.
I think that we'll just hold with 3 because I think it looks like we're good for 3 tomorrow as well.
All right. Well, 1:30 to go. One thing we've seen consistent in every single start, that boat far right with the blue flag, Blue Burgee Yacht Club Argentina has won the pin. All 3 starts this afternoon. They're set up to try and do so again. 1:15 to go. San Diego Yacht Club, the most consistent. Winners so far have been Japan Sailing Federation and
Laura just
we'll
took.
bring you up to speed there in a minute.
Laura's
going to give us our scores. Laura, if you can hear us,
took my
bring the
score
scores
sheet.
back, please. Okay, so under a minute to go. Yacht Club Argentina fighting down there, likely Royal Canadian as well. Terry McLaughlin and crew, 2-time winner of this event, and they have been fighting for the pin end in every single start. You don't want to be over early, though. That's costly.
Looks a bit more fight for the pin this time. We've got bow number 5. How's that number 5 here on port at the pin?
That's going to be Real Club Nautico de Barcelona. Now the incoming flood tide, Andy, has increased, and you can see the fleet held well back behind the line. Big midline dip in the middle, midline sag. 20 seconds to go. To my eye,
late.
The fleet's going to be late.
Yeah.
Slow to build speed. 15 seconds.
Come on, go.
You think they can hear you?
Yeah, right. No, this is going to be very late. Look at this. And the boat's in the middle. That's got to be 4, 5 boat lengths. There goes the gun.
No over earlies in this start.
No.
We are off. The 3rd race of the day, 4th race of the regatta. Nice. The first boats across the line, rather, down here are at the pin, including number 5, Real Club Nautico de Barcelona. The Spanish win the pin.
Ew. So late, though. Okay, here we are.
On board with the Japan Sailing Federation, winner of race number 1 yesterday. And they've done quite well in the regatta as well.
Yeah, a little less breeze now. That's a bit more traveller up. You can see. Oh, there you go. There, he did hear me. So they're trying to hold a lane right there, and that's one of the reasons they're holding the traveller up. Royal Cork Yacht Club, just to leeward. I'd like to see some of those lads from the Royal Cork hiking out a bit harder. I don't feel like there's super hiking going on here. Crucial time right off the start line. I'd like to see a little bit more going on there. Helicopter.
You tell him, Andy.
Oh, right, like they want to hear from me.
All right, here we go.
Yacht Club Costa Smeralda there, bottom of screen. That's 17.
And currently, according to Track, the lead boat is the German team, Norddeutsche Regatta Verein, fighting it out with Royal Hong Kong Yacht Club and Royal Cork for the top 3. Early on in the beat, so far the right is starting to pay off a little bit, according to the graphics. And that big midline sag still has the middle of the fleet fighting it out. So the ends are starting to pay off a little bit with the right favored.
I think that's tide now, Tucker. Like, the tide is now 2 hours in. I would definitely expect the boats bottom of screen to be getting hit more with the tide. The boats at the top will be first to go right, and I like that better. Right out of the tide.
Up on the Canadian island there.
The current overall scores, great shots there. Look, there's a boat just there, bowed down. Ooh.
That's Yacht Club Costa Smeralda, most lured boat. In this shot anyway, I know that the lured most boat after the start was the Spanish team, Real Club Nautico de Barcelona. Now it looks like the left boats are punched from this drone shot, but according to Track, it is the right-hand most boats that are punching out into the lead. As you say, Andy, probably because of the current.
Yeah, I think I don't know. Is it, well, we'll see. We'll keep an eye on this. But here we go with Japan Sailing Federation. They're going to have to tack. They're going to have to clear out of this, and that's why they're looking over their shoulders. Let's listen. Don't think they can tack away. Not enough room. A little bit of a header there. Really want to tack away.
If you're just joining us live on Facebook or YouTube, we want to thank you from around the world. Fantastic audience this afternoon for our first broadcast. Thousands of people tuning in, so thank you for joining us for this 6th edition, the 2019 Rolex New York Yacht Club Invitational Cup. The last race we had Commodore Phil Lotz joining us, the president of the IC-37 class. Great to get his insights on what has proven to be one of the most successful one design classes of the New York Yacht Club.
And the inaugural winner.
09, Phil won with his team. That was the only year that they allowed pros on board. He said with Ken Reed, and it was Ken's idea to keep it all amateur. Shooting himself in the professional foot, so to speak, but he was right.
Yeah, this is great. 17 in the screen on the left. Yacht Club Costa Smeralda, just above them. Yacht Club Argentino getting squeezed out.
Tough to live in that position.
Yeah, that's the something called, it's called the soap or soap dish or something.
Don't try too hard.
Squeeze a bit of soap and it just pops out the back there, and they're squeezed in between. Yacht Club Italiano, I think Yacht Club Argentina are going to have to tack, but you can see there some boats just to their right that they're going to struggle to cross over, so they're trying to hold that lane as long as possible. Great pictures from the leeward end of the line here. Umpire boat just behind, keeping everything all fair.
Not too many penalties we've seen so far in the regatta.
No.
Everybody behaving well so far. Perfect conditions here in Narragansett Bay. As we head upwind with the leftmost pack of boats. Meanwhile, all the way off to the right, it is Royal Cork Yacht Club, oldest yacht club in the world. Currently punched in the lead. They're on port, leading the charge to the right-hand side, followed by Southern Yacht Club and Royal Hong Kong. And that is currently your top three on this first beat. Third race of the day, fourth race of the regatta, 6th edition of the Rolex New York Yacht Club Invitational Cup. From the left-hand side, Andy, time to tack.
Yeah, I think so. I think they're just going into a building tide on the left. And unless there's been a bit of a shift, I just don't think the shift is that big at the moment. I think the breeze is settling down. I don't think there's that much tide. Okay, here we go with Yacht Club Italiano just tacking just directly in front of us right there. And also, that looks like
easy cross over Japan
Yacht
there.
Club Costa Smeralda going to cross over Yacht Club Japan, who are going to carry on, clear their air, and then tack back, tack away.
Starting to see the breeze phase into a left-hand shift. Most of the boats now on port, about a third of the way up this first windward leg. Interesting to know what the race course is, and we'll check on that. To W4 again, so another downwind finish. You would think if it was the last race of the day, it could have been an odd number, a W3 or a 5, Andy. I wonder if we're going to see another race. We lost 2 yesterday. Not much on the social schedule tonight in beautiful conditions. Why not throw another one out there?
Well, that would really ruin my shield sailing schedule. Start time 5:05 this evening, just right where we're sailing right now. So I'd be very upset if that happened. Anyway, Not all about me, is it, Tucker? San Diego Yacht Club currently leading overall with a 2-1-3 for a total of 6 points. That is amazing. I'm not sure we've ever seen that. And in the history of the event, between 10 and 12 races, best result was last year's Southern Yacht Club, and they averaged 3rd place throughout those 12 races for 34 points. The biggest margin was 2015, when the Royal Thames Yacht Club won it with an average of a 6th place every race, and in between sort of 4 to 5, basically you've got to finish 4th or 5th in every race. So that brings me neatly to the Royal Thames Yacht Club, who currently have finished 5th, and 6th, and our winners in 2015. So consistently around the 5th mark.
Right about where they were when they won in 2015.
Right, but San Diego Yacht Club
Gonna have to do better.
showing the way with a 2-1-3. Japan Sailing Federation also sailing extremely well. And we're just going to have a little deeper look into the Japan Sailing Federation. This is one of my favorite moments because I'll introduce the Japan Sailing Federation and I'll get Tucker to pronounce all the names. The helmsperson.
You don't have to throw me under that bus. I'll just stay under it.
Eiichiro Hamazaki,
Well
the
done.
helmsman, and the tactician Yasukata Funazawa. Actually, I know Funazawa because he is actually quite a famous sailor. Why do I know him? Did he?
While you listen to Andy's brain cells work together, I can see steam coming out of his ears. Just to check in on the race course, Royal Cork is still leading this regatta. Southern Yacht Club and Royal Hong Kong.
But we're on board with Japan Sailing Federation. It's the right time to be talking about them. Oi, Funazawa, take your little slide down there. You can see he's got the
Leeward runner.
He's just getting the leeward runner ready. Lot of traveller they've got on board today. Their crew: Yokihito Hattori, Satucho Kume, Eniso Morita, Konomi Nakayama, Kei Nakayama, related,
Yep.
family.
That's amazing how you
Masahiro
put that.
Oganawa, Hiromoto Tsuji, and Makoto.
Uematsu.
Oh, very good, Tucker.
Thank you.
Finally got
I wanted to help you
in
a
for the
little bit.
last crew member there.
Overhead, Argentina all the way off to the left here.
With huge apologies to our Japanese viewers for murdering the name pronunciation right there.
Hi.
Okay.
Big duck for Yacht Club Argentina. Huge duck, giving up one length, giving up another length. From the left-hand side, which is where they have sailed in every single race. This is what happens when you are the leftmost boat and you leave your tack late. Having to come back into the group and take transoms there. That was a costly duck. I wonder if 2 tacks might have, well, probably been about the same. It was Japan Sailing Federation that they ducked. Big ease on the main. Just got it back in. Now Japan, leftmost boat. Most boats on port still. Back into the middle of the fleet. From the far right-hand side, as Andy referenced, likely because of the current.
Cool.
You can see just out there on the left of the screen. Actually, no, it is Southern Yacht Club with a massive lead early on.
Wow.
Royal Cork actually is just under the helicopter there, Andy, all the way out to the right hand. They are the rightmost boat with Royal Hong Kong. So it's really a fight for the front between Southern and Royal Cork. And there's both teams right there. Great shot, actually, to get them both in frame.
Wonder if we can go on board with Royal Cork are one of our on-board teams, aren't they today? I think. Nice to see. Yeah, let's see if can we go on board with the Royal Cork Yacht Club. See what's going on board there. We haven't been on board with them. We'll see if the tech's. No, we don't have tech on. We don't have tech working on the Royal Cork. No problem. That's okay. Great.
But it's a good time to credit the production crew. 4 boats each day will have onboard cameras, giving you a chance to see what it's like to sail these new IC-37s here in the Invitational Cup, which is good because we don't get a chance to sail the boats, Andy. We're stuck. We're stuck here together.
Yeah, boat number 16, Southern Yacht Club in shot there, and I think just to windward of them, that is The Royal Cork, yeah, and it's between Southern and the Royal Cork, and I think Southern are in a better place because they are sort of in the middle of the racecourse. Any left-hand shift and Southern are leading this. If it goes right a little bit, then the Royal Cork are in, but Royal Hong Kong Yacht Club doing a nice job there as well.
And I have to agree with you, Andy, which is something that pains me, but it's not so much an angle difference that you see from the right. It's definitely a current relief that has advantaged the boats coming from the right-hand side, because they don't look like they're that wound up. In fact, most of the boats are now converging in a lefty in the middle of the track, but the top 3 boats have all come from the right-hand side after the start. Royal Cork, Southern, and Royal Canadian. Two-time winner, the only two-time winner of the Invitational Cup here in Newport.
Very good, the boat's steaming off upwind. Nice breeze, nice conditions. There's the Southern Yacht Club. Let's just go through Southern Yacht Club a second, and the Royal Cork just left of screen. There we go. This is going to be close, I reckon, between the two of these. What have we got on track? The difference, yeah, there's only 2 meters in it. The Southern Yacht Club are going to be looking underneath their main sheet because they're on port, the boat closest to us.
Big cross. Track has the port boat, Southern Yacht Club, ahead, but as you know, under the rules, they'll have to avoid, with it being bow to bow, collision course here. Would you tack early, Andy, or would you duck and go to the right?
I definitely wouldn't go to the right if I was Southern Yacht Club. I'd just tack safely to leeward of the Royal Cork and take my opportunities a little later, including potentially ducking, if the breeze goes right, potentially ducking them and just taking the second. I think all the risk is to go too far to the right.
The advantage is going. Oh, look at the
Almost
lead
crossing.
lines, it's changing back and forth. It is absolutely bow to bow between these two teams. Southern to your right, Royal Cork to the left.
Yeah, I think Southern actually have just got a slight left-hand shift at the end there, which is just disappearing as they get closer, but I think Southern are going to be okay here. I think they're just going to cross, but I'd expect them to tack just in front of Royal Cork here, but it is a cross. I'd expect...
Massive gain there for Southern Yacht Club.
Lefty.
Andy Lovell and crew, nice job. They take the lead over Royal Cork and continue to the right. They didn't have that the whole time. That was the last 5 boat lengths. They wound up.
Yeah.
Got that cross by, I would say, half a length, and now leading.
Yeah, and on board Southern Yacht Club, Stevie Benjamin, a sailor of some note and repute, used to be...
Former Rolex Yachtsman of the Year.
Yep, and North Sails, one of the most successful North Sails sailors and salesmen has been. Stevie Benjamin bringing a real...
Former Olympic medalist.
Bit of spice to that whole affair. And in my notes here, on each page, I've got 3 or 4 yacht clubs, except for the one with Southern Yacht Club that fills the entire page. Yeah, a couple of youngsters on the mast. Langston Goldenberg, 18 years old, and on the bow, Jonathan Schrantz, he's 17. So they've definitely got the old and the new with Johnny and Andy Lovell.
Southern Yacht Club has the most number of junior sailors competing in the regatta on any team.
Nice work. Well, those Lovell brothers and their whole family, I got to know them extremely well when I studied at Charleston for a little bit, and they were...
Are you sure you studied?
Well, studied-ish, but had a good time there, and all the Lovell family, entertaining, wonderful, hospitable to the last. Southern charm personified.
Here comes the tack from... Who's that? Royal Cork.
Yeah.
Checking the left. And another tack from Southern Yacht Club. These two trading blows. Southern Yacht Club all the way out to the right now. On starboard, not quite at ley line. Centering up in the middle of the racetrack as they've been doing this beat. To have another look at Royal Cork. They crossed on port now. Has the breeze gone back left in Royal Cork's favor, or will Southern increase their lead? I think the angle, Andy, has gone to the right. To Southern.
Yeah, I don't think the Royal Cork. I think if I'd have been the Royal Cork, I think when the Southern crossed, I think I probably would have carried on a bit and then just tacked on their hip. Stick with them.
Because the next shift definitely went right. It's a gain to the team from Louisiana, the current reigning champions of the Invitational Cup, having won commanding fashion last year. Marcus Egan was at the helm this time. Andy Lovell filling in with the driving.
filling in quite competently from Louisiana, New Orleans. How do you say that? You got to swallow
New
New
Orleans.
Orleans. You've got to swallow a bunch of that.
Take a
name.
few of the consonants out.
Right.
Now, we had a huge contingent of fans on the water last year. I think we could hear them all the way back here at Harbor Court from Southern Yacht Club. So we want to welcome all the fans watching their team again. I was there earlier this year. Spectacular yacht club rebuilt after Hurricane Katrina. And some Imperial Puna representation down at the Southern Yacht Club as well, Andy.
We can't talk about that in the broadcast.
Oh, okay.
All right.
Southern now comfortably in the lead, and that's a perfect tack, keeping Royal Cork within range in their zone to leeward, and just checking the fleet to the right-hand side. Time to approach the ley line. We're at the top of the beat. Southern Yacht Club in the lead.
Very nice. Look, I've got a couple of yacht club facts here from the Southern Yacht Club. Founded
Here we
in
go.
Pass Christian, Mississippi. Sounds like a place that.
I've been there.
Well, you want to have your mosquito juice out there. Have you been there? What's it like?
Mosquito-y.
Yes, I bet. Second oldest
But-
yacht club in the USA, second only to the New York Yacht Club.
Not true.
Debatable.
Not true.
I'm sure the facts there are.
Boating Club of Detroit is
Yeah.
actually the oldest club in America, followed by New York Yacht Club.
Yeah, it's not-
1839 to 1844, respectively.
Yeah, not a yacht club though, boating club. Anyway,
Back to the race. Here are your leaders. Southern Yacht Club tacking on ley line. Royal Cork will follow suit. One question I want to know, Andy, is where's New York in this race?
get that track up. I'll have a look for the New York Yacht Club in 9th at the moment. There's a big battle between 7, 8, 9, 10. Royal Yacht Squadron and Itchner in the middle pack as well.
And how about San Diego Yacht Club, most consistent and current leader of the regatta so far with Tyler Sinks and crew?
7th.
Okay, that's a keeper.
Yep. That'll be just fine. Here, they're coming up towards the windward mark now. Southern Yacht Club. Okay, I'm getting pronunciation.
Southern Yacht Club seems to have found their form. Their first two races, a 14 and a very frustrating 19th, uncharacteristic. Last race, a 2nd. And now they're in 1st place at the top.
Yeah. Up and down like the flags on Navy Day for the Southern Yacht Club, but consistency key. 12 races planned, at least 10 or 12, so as long as you can get in the top 5. Royal Cork Yacht Club there, 2nd around the top mark. Great pictures here from Track. In 3rd, it's the Royal Canadian Yacht Club. And then Royal Sydney Yacht Squadron. Some familiar faces now, knocking out in the first few positions.
Royal Sydney, fresh from winning the last race.
Very nice. Southern Yacht Club, there they go.
Yeah, beautiful set for Southern. A little bit of trouble there for the Royal Cork. What's going on, Andy? They just delayed the hoist there by about 2 boat lengths.
Yeah, it wasn't their neatest, tidiest, was it? They didn't get that thing drawing until they were at least 2.5 boat lengths down from the top mark. Sometimes if you try and hoist too early with these asymmetrics, it can get you in just as much trouble because the top of the spinnaker does what we call the cobra, and it sort of starts spinning its head around. You can actually get a twist in it. So just be careful with the timing. It's all carefully choreographed nautical ballet as the Royal Canadian Yacht Club comes straight towards us with the maple leaf on the flag, and then behind them the Southern Cross stars on the Australian flag, not to be confused with the New Zealand flags, which has a couple less stars on, I think.
Thanks to all of you joining us live on Facebook and on YouTube around the world. Here we are on board with the Japan Sailing Federation.
With the hoist, let's see how they go.
Some teams have 2 people at the mast. Japan has 1. And he's going to have to put in double time here. Time to hoist.
Oh, he's going for the single. He's going for the single
pump.
put, not hand over hand. I'd like to see a bit of hand over hand there, but
Oh, he made it though. Did he ring the bell?
yeah, pretty much. He's got
Now that yellow spinnaker, the only yellow spinnaker in the fleet, because they were the current regatta leader going into today. drop back a few places. We'll have a new leader tomorrow with that yellow spinnaker. Already with a low angle on the rest of the fleet. Japan Sailing Federation.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair to them, they got a 149 and they're currently in second place with 14 points. So the experience of all of their activity here over the years at the New York Yacht Club Invitational.
They've sailed every single one. Yeah. Five-time competitor Elichiro Hamazaka at the helm.
Very good. Here we got Itchner Sailing Club in screen, just jibing in front of us. And then in front of them, bow 7, that is San Diego Yacht Club in front of them, Royal Cork.
All the boats have to jibe to avoid Gould Island there and that pier that comes out. And that is an interesting tactical decision there, isn't it?
Yeah.
When to jibe.
Yeah, essentially they just want to do less jibes. So this is the best way to go to get the most breeze that's away from the island and also getting the most inbound tide.
I think you know the boats in front of you are going to have to jibe there, so you can cut the corner, cut off their options a little bit. So as the leaders have done. Here are your front runners. Southern Yacht Club leading Royal Cork downwind, first and second in this 4th race of the 6th running. 2019 Rolex New York Yacht Club Invitational Cup. Will this be the last race of day 2, Andy? We're not sure. Beautiful sailing conditions this afternoon on Narragansett Bay as the fleet heads downwind.
We could probably stop the mystery and actually just text the race committee boat.
Oh, that wouldn't be as much fun.
Right? Maybe
Let's keep everybody guessing.
Maybe Laura can create a poll. Will there be one more race or not?
Do you want to keep watching or do you want to get back to work this afternoon? It's only 3 p.m. A couple more hours to go.
I think we'll be done here at 3:30, and I think a 4th race will be 3:45. I think that'll be 5 o'clock. I think it's unlikely. Is my take on this. Do the 3 races, be happy with the results. It's all good. Southern Yacht Club.
Great pictures here from Track.
You got the clouds perfectly today. That's exactly what it looks like. I wonder if they can change that to a rainy, overcast day when it is. Let's hope it never is, though. Okay, Royal Cork Yacht Club chasing down the Southern Yacht Club.
It's a bit of a parade downwind. Most of the fleet has gone into Gould Island, hit the pier, and then jibed onto port. There have only been a handful of boats, including these 2 leaders, that jibed early. And they include Japan Sailing Federation, Royal Thames Yacht Club, New York Yacht Club, Itchner Sailing Club,
Hey.
and Rail Club Nautico de Barcelona. Here's Terry McLaughlin, 2-time winner from Royal Canadian Yacht Club up in Toronto. Former America's Cup sailor for Canada. So is his tactician. That's a team never to write out of the Invitational Cup. I don't think they were here last year, but they're back again.
Great pictures. Look at that. You can see the setup on the main, the jib. Still enough breeze to keep the jibs up. I think that was a fascinating insight from Commodore Phil Lotz earlier. He was saying 8 to 10 knots was the crossover. Simultaneous jibes right ahead of the Canadians there on the Irish boat.
Big opportunity for the Canadian boat here.
Yeah, split tacks here, and I think there may be a little gain here. So port starboard between Royal Cork and Royal Canadian. The Canadians are on port, so we'll have to avoid.
I think you jibe, or are they going to cross?
I think they might cross. Oh, it's going to be close though. Yeah, cross. Probably that was an agreed cross, I would say. Yeah, I'd say that the O'Learys said, you keep going, we don't like where you're going, and I think that that's quite right, because the Canadians look like they're sailing into lighter pressure there.
Well, had they jibed, they would have jibed right on top of the Irish team's breeze.
Yeah.
And that would jeopardize their chances at chasing down Southern Yacht Club in first, as Royal Canadian, with a pack of 4 other boats, continues on port to the right, including Japan Sailing Federation with the yellow spinnaker.
Yeah, I remember now, Funazawa. I raced against him when we did the Nippon Cup in Japan, part of the Swedish Match Tour season. I remember it well. He was a great guy. He's a great guy, and now here, tactician on board the Japanese Sailing Federation boat. I got there in the end.
Well done, Greenie.
what was 15 years ago. I'm about to have a little bit of that. There's been a few things filled the brain in since then.
Are you? I'm not sure what, but
Great pictures from the drone here. Southern Yacht Club. Look at that with a decent bit of puff,
yeah.
faster
And lower.
Look at how they've got much more mainsail in. They're just working that boat a little more physically than the Irish team, and that's giving them the same speed but more depth right there. The different angle between the two boats. I like what the Southern Yacht Club are doing here, and these two boats. Wow, did they do the right thing by telling the Canadians to carry on? Because it looks to me like this is the place to be. The Canadians on the top of screen, sailed out of the breeze and then jibed only a few boat lengths later. Don't look good there at all.
no, your front runners are still strong. Southern Yacht Club, a half a knot faster than second place and bow down. Can't ask for much more than that. As they extend their lead, downwind here for the first time. We're about 2/3 of the way down the run, heading for the leeward gate. And there's a look on the water. Live pictures of your leader, Southern Yacht Club to the right, the American flag holding off the Irish to the left. There we go. Live drone simulation, Andy. There you can look at the angle difference and the speed. 12.3 knots faster and lower, the American team.
And if you go into the TrackTrack app, you can click on each of the boats and you can actually see their VMG and their VMC. You can start to see some of the differences as these boats sail along. I like what these two are doing here. I think they're both very comfortable sailing into slightly more tide, sailing away from bad air near the island, and this will be a simultaneous jibe on the in, and I'd expect them to start to jibe in about 5 or 10 lengths. So we'll probably see another 25 seconds of sailing.
Crew moving on board the lead boat.
Oh, there you go.
Southern will jibe, and as you say, simultaneous. It'll be Royal Cork following suit. Who does a better jibe, Andy?
No, well, the Royal Cork let their sheet off too early. They didn't do a late main jibe, and that was all bent out of shape. I can't see the other one, but Royal Corks didn't look like the best jibe I've ever seen. No way. And the next thing will be how the Canadians back in this. But from what I saw, the Royal Cork should be ahead of the Canadians, but that wasn't a very good jibe, so I think it's entirely possible they haven't got up to speed properly, but I'd expect them to cross port on the Royal Canadians and make a slight gain. But we'll see that in just a moment. Here we go. Here we go, the two boats coming together. Royal Cork, I'm expecting to cross, and they've made, despite not such a good jibe, they made a very decent gain there by allowing the Canadians to go ahead of them in the previous moment that the two boats came together. So good work by the O'Learys, the tactician and helmsman on board the Royal Cork boat for making that call.
Now the tactician on the lead boats, or on all boats rather, are going to take a look at the leeward gate coming up in about 2 minutes. And it's a choice, left or right-hand side. Well, we saw the right-hand side pay off on the first speed, Andy. So if you're the tactician on board Southern Yacht Club.
Right turn, left, right-hand mark, left-hand turn, on port towards Jamestown would be for me.
Right-hand mark looking upwind.
Yeah.
We'll see if that would mean a jibe drop based on the setup angle here.
Yeah, that might not work for this lot.
Royal Cork lets them go. They could have jibed on top of Southern Yacht Club. A slow jibe for the New Orleans team. And Royal Cork extends to the left of their competitors. We look downwind. And to my eye, if we look at TrackTrack, I think Southern Yacht Club is set up on ley line for the leftmost gate as we look upwind. And I think, Andy, it's not so much long-term position as it is closer to the Southern Yacht Club boat. I think the left gate, is, you can see it in the angle there, it's just a little bit further upwind. Less distance?
Yeah, left gate might be slightly advantaged, yeah. I still like less tide on the right now. Yeah, you see a lot all the way along the Jamestown Island. I think that's where I'd be going for.
Well, there's the jibe. So they now have options. It's either a jibe drop to the left mark or it's extending. No, it's going to be left-hand mark as we look upwind. That's going to leave, or open the door rather, for Royal Cork to head to the right. A little slow on the main trim there for Southern Yacht Club, but no matter, still well out in front. Now the question is, when will they tack? Will they stay with the Irish? If so, they'll have to put an early tack in onto port. I think that's what I would do, Andy. So there you can see from that angle, the gate mark at the bottom of the screen is just a half a boat length closer as the boats approach it downwind.
Yeah, that's definitely favoured. The mark closest to us is favoured quite bigly, actually.
Bigly.
Yep, it's a new Americanism, and I can see this. Look at that. If Royal Cork tacked right now, they'd only just be ahead, but it's getting busy at the bottom here.
Sure is. They're all looking at this right-hand gate as they approach it downwind, or left-hand side as we look upwind. The mark closest to the screen. Big turns there. One boat rounds to the inside. Who is that? Royal
Canadian Yacht Club, and then they're full. Oh, great. Here we are on board with Japan Sailing Federation. Let's listen in.
Well, they've dropped the kite. They've still got a jibe to do, or they're going to reach.
Oh, that was Funazawa. He was just saying no water to the boat behind, and then he's setting up the left-hand runner for the jibe. Now they go through the jibe, just behind Real Notco, the Barcelona team. So get out of my way. I've got to get that. I've got to get the runner on. Nice smooth turn. You've got to also be careful of the boats coming upwind.
Yeah, look at that.
Coming downwind. That's the Royal Yacht Squadron taking their wind and just about getting their sails in.
Nice driving there by the helmsman on the Japanese team. Most of the fleet heading to this left-hand side here. Actually, yeah.
This is where
2-to-1 split, left to right.
This is where the right-hand gate will start to pay off. As you sail towards the right and get into increasingly less tide, the boats on the right who had a less advantageous rounding will start to gain.
I like what some of these teams have done, Andy. Round the mark closest to us and then do a tack onto port after about 6 or 7 lengths up to speed.
Yeah,
I'd stay and head right.
I'd say the Swedish are going to tack very shortly here.
San Diego Yacht Club has done that. Royal Hong Kong Yacht Club has done that. And so has Southern Yacht Club and Royal Canadian. Both of those teams are now on port, having rounded the left mark looking upwind, but are staying with the leaders to the right. So it's very even right now between Royal Cork, all the way top of your screen, and Southern Yacht Club on port, sort of middle of the screen, but also heading towards the right to get out of the incoming flood tide. And here's a look on track overhead of the graphic overlay. It says 5 meters, but it's pretty much dead even between the top two teams, which would tell you Royal Cork has started to gain by getting into less adverse current to the right.
It's tide actually, Tucker, not current. But they're getting into less. I mean, not to correct you on the broadcast.
No, you would never want to do that.
No, that's a commentator's rule. But there is this is tide, and the tide goes in and out. So the current, largely speaking, flows in the same direction and is more global. Tide is moon-related, more local.
Really?
Yeah. So you have currents like the Humboldt Current, the Gulf Stream, stuff like that. But in fact, when it rains heavily in Providence, you get current coming down the Narragansett Bay here that comes from Providence down out past Newport. That's current. And when there's an ebb tide and an ebb current coming out, it means the ebb tide just that little bit stronger. And
in that case, what would you call a tidal current?
I mean, that's just confusing. That's what I'd call it. But there are other opinions are available. A much debated point.
Well,
the difference
let's hear about it from
tides
the
and currents. If you have a strong opinion, you're welcome to share it, and I'll try and correct you.
Created by the movement of the tides.
Okay, great.
Okay, back upwind. New York Yacht Club heading right, following Royal Cork. They've moved up into 4th place. That was a good move for them. Right now, Royal Cork just starting to poke forward. Southern Yacht Club trying to stay in range. Both teams, there they are, on port, continuing to the right. That's Southern Yacht Club. And all the way to lure to them, just out of frame there, is Royal Cork as well.
What is going on with the Royal Thames? 18th.
Ooh.
I mean, they got pretty much the same team they've had when they won this event. And they
Not
can't.
the same racing, that's for sure.
No, they can't get out of their own way.
Look to the right there, you can just see Royal Cork, oldest yacht club in the world. 17,
20.
there you go.
Nestled on the Crosshaven River, just outside of Cork City. And their crew, a long-standing family from Cork, Crosshaven.
Here's one for you, Andy, since you seem to know a lot about a lot. What was the original name of the Royal Cork?
Oh my word, no idea, I haven't read my notes.
Water Club of Harbour of Cork. Water Club of the Harbour of Cork.
There you go, only an Irish bunch could come up with a name as convoluted as that. Anyway.
Well, Royal Cork continuing to gain, and looking at track now, and also live on the picture here, you can see their bow going down. So not only is the tide increasing their position, but they're getting into a righty, and just as we see that, they've tacked. Now we're on board again with Japan. There's a look at the boat leaders to the right on their leeward bow.
Great pictures, love it. Love going on board here. And just look top right of screen, look like a very close cross between Southern Yacht Club and Royal Cork Yacht Club. In fact, I think Southern just crossed, but only by...
Yeah, let's see if we can get a shot of the leaders, guys.
Yeah, and you know what was interesting about that? The right did pay off because Royal Cork were a good 5 or 6 small boat lengths behind the Southern Yacht Club, and now they're right back in it. Well done, Royal Cork. This is going to give them a little boost to their standings. They've got a 6-6-14. This looks...
No throwouts in this series. There's a look at the leaders. Southern Yacht Club has crossed Royal Cork and are protecting their lead and continuing to head right into Connecticut shores.
Close.
Closer than we initially thought. We had them across. Were they?
Oh,
Yes.
just.
Yeah.
I think the Royal Cork will be fine with that. Carry on starboard here, extend. But the problem here is now the closer they get to the shore, the more gain there is tidally, the closer in you get. So I think Southern Yacht Club are doing the right thing just by staying just a little bit out of the tide there, protecting their position.
Very conservative tactics there from Johnny Lovell, 4-time Olympian. His brother Andy at the helm. The reigning champions of the New York Yacht Club Invitational Cup. Finally back on their form. We mentioned earlier they just finished second, and in this race they're leading, Andy, but their first 2 races, a 14 and a 19. Ouch.
And remember, follow along on the Facebook page. Thanks for all of you joining for the live coverage. But we've also got Instagram. I think there's a bit of Twitter as well, is there? No Twitter. Okay, Twitter's out, but certainly Instagram, YouTube as well. Yeah, excellent. So share your thoughts, share your pictures, and you can question or comment all of us, and we'll try and get the relevant experts to answer your question. Hashtag NYYCIC, and we'll get back to you as best and as soon as we can. It's wonderful to be here on this lovely afternoon. The second day, the 4th race, the 3rd race today of the 2019 Rolex New York Yacht Club Invitational, with Royal Cork Yacht Club and the Southern Yacht Club in a titanic tussle between these 2 teams at the top of the fleet.
Well done, Andy. Halfway up the second beat here. The fight continues, Royal Cork and Southern. Royal Canadian is chomping at their heels there. In 3rd.
I think the Southern are in a good spot here because the 2 boats pretty similar speed. And unless they're on ley line, which I'm pretty sure they're not, let's just go back to the tracker. I think they're not on ley line, no.
If you look at Track online, actually the ley line goes into Connecticut Island. So the breeze is skewed a little bit to the left right now, according to Track. So there we go. Royal Canadian all the way to the left-hand side, looking to make a gain. New York Yacht Club in the middle. They've moved back up to 4th or 5th spot, roughly.
Yeah, they're doing well. Ray Wolf calling tactics, and he's helming a bit, and each of them seem to be doing a little bit of a job.
Andy Fisher, they're sharing co-helming. Ray Wolf and Andy Fisher representing the New York Yacht Club, having qualified through a 3-regatta series this summer in the IC37s.
And for those of you that didn't catch that, when we had Phil Lotz, Andy Fisher shares the helming duties. He's only got one arm, right, or one hand and one arm, and so Ray Wolf helps him through the tacks when you have to switch hands and
starts the boat as well.
And starts the boat. So they have a very innovative, ingenious, and what seems to be working pretty well system for racing. They qualified. They beat a bunch of boats to qualify for the New York Yacht Club. For the New York Yacht Club as their own club, and currently in 5th spot.
So we're heading upwind, top third of the second upwind leg for this 4th race. The 6th running, the 2019 Rolex New York Yacht Club Invitational Cup here in Newport, Rhode Island. The most prestigious Corinthian regatta in America, Andy, and sailing in some of the coolest boats, these new IC37s. Proving they're up to the task. They look like a lot of fun to sail.
So between Ray Wolf and Andy Fisher, they helm the boat, main sheet, and tactician Brad Reed, fast becoming the most famous Reed from Newport. But we're going to have his brother Kenny here on Friday, president of North Sails. Is that his official title? Anyway, from North Sails, one of the supporters of this regatta, and he's going to come and commentate with us on Friday, guest with us, a prior commentator on the America's Cup and winner of, well, we haven't got enough time to...
Well, former winner of this regatta.
Yes, the first one, 2009. Keep it relevant, on point, like it.
Here we go. Speaking of relevant, back into the racing from the left of their competitor, Royal Cork on port, now facing Southern Yacht Club in another close cross. It went to Southern last time. They got a little piece of a left-hand shift, the Irish. Have they gained? It's not going to be a cross.
Yes.
But the question is, are they setting themselves up well for the next shift?
Yeah, I like
and
it.
What would Southern Yacht Club do here, Andy?
Yeah, very small duck here. There you go. You see, just bow down a little bit. This is going to be good.
Oh, yeah.
The thing is, though, for me, these boats are first and second. Oh, that's a slam dunk. Royal Cork tack straight away.
Well, Southern did exactly the right thing tactically.
That was close, and that was good. They had to tack very fast and just avoid the stern. But I like what they've done, the Royal Cork. They're battling all the way here. For me, I'd be reasonably relaxed about going around this top mark in second. They've got quite a big gap between them and the next few boats. That's San Diego Yacht Club and Royal Canadian and New York Yacht Club. I think I'd be happy to try and make the pass on the downwind here, because that's when the boat behind actually can take quite a big advantage, jibing into the better breeze and getting leverage on the downwind. This here is just an opportunity to actually let the boats in 3rd, 4th and 5th catch up to you and let them attack you on the downwind. So I'd be trying to keep this as fast as possible around the top.
The only thing I will say, that if they set that up, there is sometimes a geographic left-hand shift around the corner of Gould Island, and they are to the left of their competitor, heading right at it. So if they can get a piece of that lefty, and if it holds, they might make a stab at the lead against Southern Yacht Club. Here it comes, just off of Gould Island now. I don't think it's going to be enough of a lefty. I don't see that in the angle on the race course that they've tacked. But the Lovels look like they're bow forward and bow up on starboard. So it's a right-hand shift. Southern Yacht Club is also on starboard tack.
That famous southern wind, the Lovell lift. They've got it. Royal Cork on port. But the only thing in the Irish favour here is that they were in the cone of Gould Island, and I think they might have been in slightly less tide here. But
they're going to get hit again, aren't they?
Oh, yeah.
Now they've got a little bit more room to the port ley line. Southern's just going to hit them ahead into leeward, actually, there. I mean, I'm surprised by that. You could have gone one more length and really made it hurt, Andy, but
I think Southern
they didn't. Why wouldn't you make them do 2 extra tacks?
For the reason I was just talking about.
Good.
Is
Here we go.
The Southern do not want to get into attacking duel. They don't want to allow boats in 3, 4, 5, 6 to catch up to them and potentially attack them on the downwind. The downwind, there'll be big splits. There's puffs and breeze. Both of these teams, first and second, no problem. 12 race series, average finishing position between 4 and 7. And they've got a 1 and a 2 here, no problem. Just go with consistency, and if you've got an opportunity to gain on the final downwind, take it, but make sure that you don't get into a situation where you're just tacking 1 and 2 into the rest of the fleet.
That's all fascinating, Andy, and correct, except for the point where Southern Yacht Club had to put a tack in anyway at some point to get over to the starboard ley line. Why didn't they hold one more length and just make Royal Cork do 2? That's not going to give up any more to the rest of the fleet. And in a left-hand shift, Royal Cork is in position to be a threat now, I think. They're living.
Fair point. Or, you know, you could have hit them as well. And that's why these teams, the tacticians, that's why they all debrief afterwards. They'll go into that particular situation and then they'll review it and they'll decide.
Oh, there, Royal Cork's finally tacked. The only other thing is if they expected a lefty being to leeward of your opponent, bow forward as far, I mean righty rather, a right-hand shift. Either way, Royal Cork finally concedes. They'll do 2. And what I like about that, Andy, is sending Royal Cork over to the left is going to put some more pain on top of Royal Canadian. Because Royal Cork is likely to tack on their breeze, or at least be in their zone. Meanwhile, San Diego Yacht Club is completely off to the right by themselves in clear air. I'd be worried about them now. Just keep an eye on them, even though it's about 7 or 8 lengths. You still never write off Tyler Sinks and his crew from San Diego downwind, and currently leading the regatta with a 2-1-3. Now they are in 3rd. Very close between San Diego and Royal Canadian. 1 meter between them, according to Track. Into the top mark for the last time in this 4th race of the Rolex New York Yacht Club Invitational Cup. You're looking at Royal Cork Yacht Club from Ireland, oldest yacht club in the world, on port there. Center of screen to their left is the leader of this race, Southern Yacht Club, reigning champion of the Invitational Cup here in Newport, Rhode Island. Once again, I'm Tucker Thompson with Andy Green. Thanks for joining us live around the world. And for 20 yacht clubs represented here, we'd like to thank the fans from each of those yacht clubs for tuning in, no matter what time of day or night it is for you at home, and joining us here in the broadcast. We'll be here for 3 more days, the conclusion of the Invitational Cup this Saturday here at the New York Yacht Club. But the fight for the front in this race at the top mark for the last time has Southern Yacht Club approaching on starboard. It'll be a duck for Royal Cork.
Fascinating tactical battle. Love it. This is great to watch between the Royal Cork Yacht Club and the Southern Yacht Club as they head upwind for the final time. This mark just coming into shot here is the exclusion mark, so you can't go in between that and the windward mark, and that's just to keep the last 2 or 3 boat lengths as you get into the windward mark a little bit more gentlemanly. Otherwise the boats often get very tight in and potential for damage.
Yeah, it keeps late port tackers from slamming in at the mark. You have to leave it to port upwind and leave it to port downwind.
Yeah, and actually, almost more importantly, is when you jibe downwind and just keeps the boats away from the upwind boats. Those are sometimes the most dangerous situations to occur. So very sensible.
Looking at the angle on the course, Andy, the far right of screen, that one boat seems to have a nice left-hand angle. That is Itchner Sailing Club. From the far left, in a pack of 4 or 5 boats, but they're going to have to go bow down and duck that offset mark, the exclusion mark there. So if you don't take that into account on port ley line, you give up distance. Meanwhile, a boat that continues to gain distance on this race course is Southern Yacht Club at the offset into the hoist, chased by Royal Cork. These two have been battling it out the entire race. Let's look at the set.
There we go. Excellent. That was a good one. About a boat length and a half from the top mark. Breeze is up enough so that they leave the jibs up. The teams have decided that having the jib, usually you take a jib down in those situations, certainly on the Swan 42s we did a lot. But in these boats, keep the jibs up for stability and some speed. The spinnakers are so big that the jibs don't actually affect the spinnaker.
Surprised the breeze hasn't really picked up more than what we're seeing.
It was forecast, to be fair, it was forecast to be slightly heavier this morning, and when we went out, it was 20 to 22, right at the top end. And then throughout the day, it's just gently eased, which is also unusual because the tide has switched to an inbound tide, and that would suggest that the breeze should increase a little bit, but also the effect that it has on the boats is that it takes the boats away from the breeze, a little bit more breeze upwind when you're fighting into it, a little bit less breeze downwind when you're going with the current.
Thank you, Andy. San Diego Yacht Club rounded just out of screen there in third, followed by Royal Canadian Yacht Club and Royal Sydney Yacht Squadron, 3 names that we've been hearing near the front in just about every single race. Here's New York Yacht Club, Andy.
Yeah, here they go with the hoist. Oh, not quite up fully. There we go. Not still a couple of feet to go up, but just to windward of them. That's the Yacht Club Italiano, who are a bit slow on the hoist, and then behind them, Itchner.
Southern still leading, continuing on starboard. Royal Cork chasing, and that's San Diego Yacht Club, always in the top 3. In a regatta like this, that's impressive.
What is that on their spinnaker? Have they got a hole? Is that a patch? I think that must be a patch, isn't it?
It's probably a patch holding the takedown line together.
Yeah, so between races, looks like Southern Yacht Club caught that on their shroud, on the spreader. There's just the ease. You can see the bumping on the sails. It was shaking the spinnaker. Oh no!
Oh, that patch.
It's a hole.
I didn't see what you were looking at there. I like what Royal Cork tried to do. They tried to simul-jibe and get on top of Southern, but you could tell that the trimmer wasn't ready for that. They came off the deck late there, and the spinnaker was a bit behind. So what would have been a tactical gain ended up being a boat handling loss by about half a length to Southern, who continues to lead Royal Cork. Those two well out in front of the rest of the fleet. San Diego continuing, as well as Royal Canadian, both of them in towards Gould Island. Time to jibe. Royal Canadian likes to jibe, or sorry, San Diego likes to jibe early before getting to the island, I've noticed, comparatively to most of the other boats.
That was a patch from the practice day on the American flag on the Southern Yacht Club boat.
Yep. New York in 6th place, Yacht Club Italiano, Itchner Sailing Club, Royal Hong Kong, Yacht Club Costa Smeralda. 14 different nations represented.
Oh, I like the speed. Look at that.
Yeah.
We've got some new graphics up. Current speed with the top 3 boats, Southern, Cork, and San Diego.
Royal Cork currently the fastest right now. They're at higher angle, and you'd expect to see that because they're close enough to Southern Yacht Club. They're trying to go above them. Look at this fight for the front, Andy.
Yeah.
It is Royal Cork coming from behind and rolling
with the luff.
Southern Yacht Club. The kite is gone, and so is the lead.
Nice.
Royal Cork pulls out in front, and that was just pure boat speed. They rolled over to the top of them.
Love it. Beautiful coverage. Well done, drone man and editor there, getting us right into the action. We were having a look at the speed, and we could see why the speed on the Royal Cork was going up, because they were luffing slightly. They were rolling over the Southern Yacht Club. A brilliant bit of sailing from Team O'Leary from the Royal Cork Yacht Club.
Didn't see that coming, and I'm pretty sure Andy Lovell and his brother didn't either, because when they jibed out in front, we talked about, ooh, what's this? Jibing again.
What the?
Aggressive? No. Oh, was it a...
Oh, a penalty. They've been given a penalty. No.
Have they, or is that just a horrible jibe?
Oh, no. They're thinking about how they're going to get their spinnaker. Maybe they've got a penalty. Stand by, folks.
What would it be for, though?
For not keeping clear windward boat.
Oh, boy.
We'll see about that. Look,
There's
so look at the umpire boat right behind. Keep your eyes on them. If you see a red flag, they have to get their chute down 2 turns. What I tell you? First and second, just keep it simple, man.
Yeah, but why haven't they dropped the spinnaker or rolled into a... That could have just been a horrible jibe.
Maybe.
They had to go through Southern's wind shadow.
Why did they jibe so soon after rolling them, though?
So they come from behind, luffed up, rolled the competition, did a horrible jibe in front, and now possibly back in 2nd place. I'm not sure what...
There's a lot of standing around.
I was just about to give them a lot of credit, tactically and boat handling-wise, until, well...
Okay, well, they're clearly not doing a turn, and I don't see the umpire boat anywhere nearby. What? So you see the umpire boat in the middle of the racecourse. If they had got a penalty and hadn't done their turns, that umpire boat would be sticking to them like glue. So I think that I think our suggestion is wrong, and I think that
Well,
they're heading back towards the pressure is
I'll
the
tell
most
you,
likely
yeah,
thing.
that's what it is mostly
And the
because
tide.
Southern Yacht Club is currently doing 8 to 9 knots to Royal Cork's 13.
Yeah.
That's why they jibe. Big puff from the left-hand side. And they were willing to jibe in Southern Yacht Club's dirty air. Not necessarily the prettiest jibe, but I think long range, Andy, tactically, that was a big call.
Might be an inspired move, something to not only get you ahead, but throw the commentators off and put you in the lead. What a combination.
Well, and they've left the entire rest of the fleet to sail on port, inshore, tussling with themselves. Lots of wind shadows going on there. Nobody off to this side at all. They are the leftmost boat looking upwind.
Doing great. Yeah, they got the trifecta right there. Well done.
They've also gone through the cone of Gould Island, so they're going to get incoming tide from the left-hand side there, the massive amount of deep water there in Narragansett Bay. Another advantage because the flood tide's increased since the last race. I don't know, Andy, that was all in all probably a very good tactical move.
I think so, right? Looks great.
And a bold one, too. No one else went with them.
Nope.
No one. If you saw the lead boat in a race and you were behind them and they made a move like that and it's a gain, why wouldn't anyone else jibe with them? Where is everybody else?
I mean, it's probably the right thing to do, but it really is. It was high risk, nonetheless. Still high risk. I like it, but it's high risk.
Well, Southern Yacht Club has also jibed to go with them to leeward. You can't see them, just to the left of frame there. And on track, there is zero distance between the two teams. So Southern extended a little bit and decided we're going to get a piece of that left-hand breeze as well. At 13 knots now, so they've regained the fight for the front. Currently, track has Southern Yacht Club ahead. I don't know. You can see the even line there between the two, green and blue on track. Dead even, 0 meters between the two teams as Royal Cork jibes onto port. This will be telling.
Now it's got light for the Irish. I love this. This is great. I mean, we see a lot of high performance, all singing, all dancing racing on the telly, and if you're a fan of sailing and following this traditional, wonderful, great fleet racing, 20 boats, one design, Corinthian racing. Love it. Gotta love it. This is great.
Sailing at its best. Yacht Club against Yacht Club. The ultimate Corinthian competition. And you could see the breeze line just in that overhead shot there.
See, it was high risk.
Royal Cork went too far, and now Southern Yacht Club is back out in front.
Why? There's no need to take that kind of risk. You're in first, you're in second. You've just rolled the leader. Well, crazy.
You're speechless almost.
Well, just carry on with them. Wait until you've got...
Right.
Just high risk. I mean, maybe this would have worked out. And you were like, oh, look, they're in better breeze. Quite right.
Well, they went too far. If they had just jibed back about 6 or 7 lengths earlier, we might not have seen this cross. Southern Yacht Club back in front.
Why'd you do
And
it?
this to the finish.
Yeah, just crazy. Like, if they don't come first or second, I'm going to go down the dock and tell every little word.
I'll tell you what, it's close between them and San Diego now. Far top of your screen, far right if you're looking upwind, that white spin, well, they're all white, but that spinnaker in the background there, that's San Diego Yacht Club. That's the next team likely to give Royal Cork a bit of trouble. Meanwhile, it is Southern Yacht Club now sailing free out in front, and they decide not to make the same mistake. Stay with your competition. Stay between them and the next mark. The golden rule in sailing. Oh, get that weather sheet off.
Yeah,
Come on, guys.
that was a bit shabby on that jibe.
All right, and then look to windward of them, San Diego and Royal Cork. It's going to be, there's about 100 feet between these three boats. Southern's still in the lead, but look at that angle, Andy. I don't know if it's just the motorboats.
No, it's
angle.
Royal Sydney Yacht Squad. Royal Sydney and
No.
San Diego and
Royal Cork, sorry.
Southern and Royal Cork. But the boats all the way on the right.
San Diego could do this. San Diego could pull a rabbit out of the hat here.
Yes.
Look at that. Southern to the left. Are they ahead? They're on port. San Diego's bow down. Fast forward and on starboard and pulling ahead. We've got another lead change. San Diego Yacht Club is out in front. Southern did the same thing Royal Cork did. They went too far out into the left.
Yeah.
And now there's this vein of breeze that seems to be coming down the middle right-hand side of the track. You don't want to get too far out of it, and San Diego knows it. Positionally, that's a beautiful spot. If this is a good jibe, they'll hold the lead. And it is.
Yeah.
San Diego Yacht Club, Andy.
San Diego Yacht Club doing the right thing. They just jibed like in a safe position right there. They're like, okay, we're in the top 3 now. Now we're where we want to be. Let's just finish in the top 3. It's totally sensible.
I love where they jive, right
Yeah.
on the breeze of Southern. Southern now has to make a call.
Sonars and the Melges, they had 2 different fleets, and we switched between the small Melges 21, Melges 20, and the Sonars.
Just let him work through it. He'll get there.
Melges 20 and the Sonars. And Tyler Sinks did a really, really nice job of qualifying the team, and they've taken up the baton from where they started, and here we are at the 2019 Rolex Invitational with teams from all around the world, a United Nations of sailors enjoying fantastic conditions. 3 races today. San Diego Yacht Club, definitely the best of it, Tucker.
Yep, and lots more action to come. We hope you've enjoyed watching these first 4 races here at the Rolex New York Yacht Club Invitational Cup. I'm Tucker Thompson with Andy Green. We've got 3 more days of racing in Rhode Island Sound and in Narragansett Bay. Thanks to Rolex and the New York Yacht Club for making it possible, and we hope to see you right back here tomorrow. The 2019 Rolex New York Yacht Club Invitational Cup is brought to you by Rolex. Sponsored by Helly Hansen and supported by North Sails and Team One Newport. This regatta is hosted by the New York Yacht Club, celebrating 175 years of yachting innovation and leadership.